8 o'clock, time to go over the agenda for today's meeting of the Wayne County Commissioners. Invocation, Mr. Mayo, is that you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, will you introduce the pastor?
I will.
Mr. Camardi, you gonna do the pledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we had approval of the minutes. Any adjustments to the agenda?
I have one, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make one appointment.
Okay, where do we need to put that on? New business or
Yes, sir.
just put it number 9? All right, special recognition. Mr. Wood, you gonna take care of that, or Marcia? Who?
Marcia.
Diane Ivy will be here.
Diane will be here.
Diane Ivy.
Ivy.
Okay. Mr. Wood, you just
Okay.
start with the unfinished business.
All right, under unfinished business, we have a motion on a recommendation on record software for the Department of Social Services. Jeremy Kate will be here to go over that in detail with you. I know the two of you are on the DSS board, so y'all are very familiar with this. This is the Northwoods software that we do.
Jeremy Caton? He's down the line.
I'm sorry, he's for the website.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll wake up in a minute.
That's all right.
But Debbie Jones will be here, but I gave you a fairly detailed memo on this. Savings will pay for this over a 5-year period. So it's a very good program. I think we went over it at the last meeting, or meeting before last.
Excuse me, did I not make the motion last time to pass it contingent on a couple of negotiating points?
You may have.
I did.
I just wanted to come back and do it formally here, just to make sure we would do it.
Well, I just assume, if you worked out the negotiating points, and perhaps, do we really need to make another motion, or we're just,
There wasn't the motion for what Mr. Wood wants to do now.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Wood has his motions in his memo.
Okay, all right,
What we need
okay.
to do now.
Yeah. It's-
I kind of thought we were duplicating as well.
Well, it's fairly detailed. What we need to do is, this has the piggyback of Brunswick, but also specifically what the motion is there.
Okay.
The next thing is a motion to convey Mount Olive property accepted from the Wayne County Board of Education to the University of Mount Olive. Again, you have a memorandum on that on page 67. They're asking that we provide it to them at no cost. And the reason for that is that they provide a lot of facilities to the school system during the year at no cost. Then we have a motion to approve Mount Olive Industrial Park Declaration of Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions. The board will go over those with you. I didn't know if you want to do that now or at the 9 o'clock meeting.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
I prefer it 9. I think you got it.
Under the consent
fine.
agenda, we have the audit contract for the fiscal year 2014-15. Wayne County ABC Board travel policy. We have also included their budget in your packet for your information. There's nothing that you have to do on your budget, but they want you to see it. But by law, you do have to approve their travel policy every year.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get a copy of the restrictive covenants in my package.
He's gonna go over it today. They've been negotiating back and forth.
Can we get a copy of those so that we'll have a copy that we can look over? Before we vote on
Before
this?
you vote on it.
Yeah. And I'd like to get a hard copy of them. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Then we
Okay,
have
that's
a
what we're here
staff's
for.
public hearing on June 16th. This is on a rezoning matter. Then you have the Berkeley Mall July 4th fireworks resolution, and that's where we authorize that every year. Then you have budget amendments, and these are the ones that are small enough that we're doing those by consent. We do have one or two that are large enough, I felt they should be handled individually further down in the agenda. Under new business, we have a Military Appreciation Month proclamation.
On that, Mr. Bell, would you want to read that?
Okay.
Is that all right?
The next thing is emergency medical services presentation by the staff there, and a motion to adopt the emergency medical services week proclamation. Anything you want to add to that, Jerry? Okay. The summer food service program in Wayne County, we're going to have a presentation by the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction School Nutrition Services. Again, as everybody knows, we have the free and reduced breakfast and lunch program, but in the off months when school is closed is what this program is about. We have a motion to approve a final subdivision plat for Glen Laurel subdivision, section 9. Steve Connie or Chip will be here.
Chip's here.
Anything, Chip, you want to go over now? Just wait till 9.
It's pretty straightforward. You're saying, we have Laurel subdivision,
Okay.
28 lots, an extension of existing street.
Anybody have any questions for Chip on that? Motion to adopt a resolution approving the position classification and pay plan. I have one correction to that, so we're going to be handing you out a new attachment. It adds one position to it, which is a business manager for the public health department. And that's one we just, we had overlooked and needed to put in there. So, I forgot I had her make copies this morning, I didn't pick them up, but I'll have them tonight. And then we'll have that.
And Mr. Chairman, under discussion on that, as I've already relayed, my understanding is we're taking the existing classifications and just folding them over into the new, is that correct?
That's correct.
So even though we, in the future, if we wanted to adjust the, that position into the scale, that adjustment can be made at a later time.
That's right. You would do it by resolution, and then we go in and change that list.
Well,
That's clarified in your,
Yeah.
in your presentation that it would take board action to change it.
That's correct.
well, I think a number of us have had some concerns in regards to certain people that are deputies that may in fact not being paid commensurate with that risk or that position versus a library assistant or whatever. So you are going to review that after the budget time and.
Yeah, at some point, we'll be going through these. Now, I was gonna look primarily for those who think are underpaid. And that's part of the budget. You remember what we talked about on the pay plan is we would have a pool for merit increases, and then we would have a pool where if we identified, jobs that were underpaid, that pool would be used to bring those up.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But that will be at a later date, because we'll be studying those throughout the year.
Okay, good enough, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Then we have a motion to approve Blue Cross Blue Shield rates for fiscal year 16, and this is my fault, I should have got this to you sooner. But essentially, what I'm gonna give you is an explanation of how we got that down from a 17% increase down to a 7% increase on that, okay? Then we're gonna have a presentation by Jeremy Caton, and a possible vote on a website upgrade for e-government. That's electronic government. I was asked that question in the meeting. But we don't do a lot of e-government right now where people can go online and pay online for different services. We don't, for instance, we're not able to take applications for employment online. You can go online and see the application. You can fill it out online, but you have to print it off and submit it. So what we're trying to do is get up to speed with where most counties already are, which is having a website and with the features that we can do a lot more in e-government. And it'll be far more efficient. I mean, if you can imagine how much we're going to save and the convenience for people just on job applications, for instance. So Anyway, he'll give you a more detailed explanation. I believe we put in about a 3-page explanation on this for you already, but Jeremy will be coming in to do that. Some of you may be wondering why he's doing it, because he's actually an employee of WCEA. He is our webmaster, and so 10 hours a week is what he's supposed to be devoting to taking care of our website. He's probably doing far more than that because our current website is so cumbersome to add or change content, but he'll get into all of that with you as well. Then we have a motion to approve budget amendments, and we just have a couple there that are big enough we felt those needed to be individually discussed. Then we've added number 9 of the appointment that Commissioner Burley wanted. Then public comments, my comments. We do need to have a closed session. We have several items there, and I'll discuss those before we.
Is that, anyone else have any adjustments to the agenda? If not, y'all want to go ahead and let's go in closed session, so we got 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Consultant from attorney employed, privilege, instead of performance of public employees.
Motion to go into closed session.
Have a motion for Mr. Pate that we go in closed session. All in favor should sign a right hand. Let's go into closed session. It's 9 o'clock, time to conduct the business of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. I would ask everyone, if you have a cell phone or a pager, if you would put it on silent mode or either cut it off. Mr. Mayo, if you would introduce your pastor, please.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure this morning to introduce to you Reverend Scott Trailkill. He's the Associate Minister of Christian Education and Youth at First Baptist Church. He's my pastor. He does a great job with our youth. He's been called by God in this position, and we appreciate he and his wife and daughter. He came to First Baptist in May of 2000, and we're so happy that he's part of our community here in Goldsboro. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I simply wanted to say thank you for your service to our community. I know your job's fulfilling. I know at times it's enjoyable, at times it's often difficult. In one way or another, our jobs are similar. Yours on a much larger scale, but I know we have people seeking us out, needing something, and oftentimes it's something totally different and opposing to one another. And I don't know how you handle that, but how I handle that in my job is to simply ask God each and every day for guidance and for wisdom. Because I know that the Bible says that if I lack wisdom, that God will grant that to me. And so today I'd simply like to pray and ask God to grant you the wisdom that you need for your jobs. And once again, thank you for all that you do for our community of Goldsboro and Wayne County. Let's pray together. Dear God, we come to you today as thankful people, as grateful people. We're thankful for our community of Goldsboro and Wayne County, this community that we call home. We're thankful for our family, for our friends, for the opportunities that make this place a wonderful place to live, to grow, to raise a family. God, we thank you for our many blessings. Remind us today, dear God, how fortunate we are Continue to open our eyes to those who are less fortunate around us, those who are hurting, who are hungry, who are afraid, who are in need. But finally, God, and most of all today, we give you thanks for these men, our commissioners. We ask that you would grant them today and every day wisdom to do their duties, guidance, and your peace. For these things we pray today. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Camardi?
Yes, I would like to take this opportunity to request Troop 258, Rosewood Pine Forest, UMC, to do the pledge, and those young men will be Will Lewis, Braxton Flores, and Alex Flores. I turn it over to them.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, young men. All right, for everyone in the audience and that's watching us on TV, listening to us on the radio, this is what it's all about. That's the future of this county, this state, and this country, is those, such as those young men that just gave the pledge. Thank y'all so much. Do I have a motion to approve of the minutes for the May 5th, 2015 meeting?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion on the floor that we approve the minutes of County Commissioners for May the 5th, 2015. Any discussion? If none, all in favor show sign of right hand. Any adjustments to the agenda, Mr. Wood?
Mr. Chairman, I have handed out 3 documents to you. The first one is, I mentioned at the 8 o'clock briefing that we had one correction to make on the position classification and pay plan under it. So I've given you a new attachment 1, and Ms. Lee, our HR director, has added under grade 73 a public health business officer 1. And that's the sole change on here. So we need to substitute this attachment for the one that was in your agenda packet, and that's the one correction. Geraldine, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No,
That's the one change. Okay. So we need to do that. The second thing is that I've handed you out a piece of paper from Civic Plus. This is an amended quote. This is about $5,000 less than what was shown in your packet, so I don't think anybody will object if we change to this one. And Jeremy Caton will be going over that with you as we go through that. The third thing is I simply wanted to make you aware that we have had the bids come in. This is on the Spring Creek Middle School project off-site sewer improvements. Our original estimate from the sanitary sewer district was about $120,000. The low bid, the bids range from $119,730 to $270,200. So the good news is KBS Construction is within their original estimate. And there's no action that you need to take. This is just to inform you that that is what they came in at. We'll be getting that check out to them today or tomorrow, and then that work can begin. And again, just to remind you, the contractor, the people actually awarding the contract overseeing the work are McDavid and Associates, who are the engineers for the sanitary district, the Southeastern Wayne Sanitary District. Remember, they will be the owners of this system because it's a pump station that then ties into their system. So we're proceeding on with that work. And that's the 3 things I wanted to discuss with you, Mr. Chairman. Oh, yes, and there's one, I believe we wanted to add one appointment as item number 9 under new business. Mr. Gurley had asked that we add that And the other thing is when we talk about item number 3 under unfinished business on the Mount Olive Industrial Park, that, in addition to the declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions, we need to actually have a motion to sell the property for $650,000 to the Mount Olive Pickle Company, subject to these covenants and restrictions.
Okay. Anyone else have any adjustments to the agenda?
Excuse me,
Mr. Darby.
did I understand you were gonna need a motion after we go through these restrictive covenants to actually sell the?
Yes, sir. You got to notice that you were intending to do it, now you've got to actually do it.
Well, okay. Okay.
Anyone else? Special recognition, Mr. Wood.
Yes, sir. We have Ms. Diane Ivy here to make a presentation. Diane?
Let's go down. Gentlemen.
Good morning, and thank you for letting me come and make this presentation today. On April 16th, the North Carolina Chamber Foundation recognized Wayne County as the first certified work-ready community in the state of North Carolina. It's no surprise to any of you here that we would be the first in our state, because actually this entire statewide initiative was based on our Works initiative, born and supported by you all here in Wayne County. And I'm just so pleased and proud to be able to come here today and thank you for your support and your vision and what you do every day to make our county the place we can live and work and be successful.
Very good. Moving on, Mr. Wood, if you will take care of the unfinished business.
Okay. The next item is a recommendation on record software for the Department of Social Services. I know that you've had the memo, but for the audience here and also on TV, I thought I would read through quite a bit of this because it's a very important project for us. As you know, the Department of Social Services administers a myriad of social programs funded either by the federal or state governments. Each program has its own administrative regulations, which include eligibility criteria. Our personnel have to determine each client's eligibility for each separate program. Our personnel are experts in eligibility for individual programs, as no one could learn and keep current on all of the regulations. That means a client may be eligible, for example, for 4 different programs. We currently do everything using a paper system. So that client would have to enroll with 4 different people. The problem is that the personnel or the personal information needed, such as addresses, social security numbers, income verification, must be retyped by all 4 intake personnel. This is an archaic system given computerization. Obviously, we need to purchase a software package that will allow this information to be captured once, then scanned into a database that tracks the client's history of interactions and which programs they have participated in. In addition, it will cut down on the storage files needed in each division to house the current records. Once we move to the software for new clients, we can include the scanned records we have made for previous years. This will provide the complete historical database for each client. Most counties have moved to electronic intake and record keeping years ago. We are well behind the curve on this, and it's frustrating both clients and our personnel. Our personnel are spending unnecessary time on paperwork instead of helping clients. The DSS and its board have been researching a solution and are recommending that you authorize a contract with Northwoods Consulting Partners, Inc. for a software package to automate this operation. Northwoods already has 37 out of the 100 counties in North Carolina. I was not involved in this selection process, but can tell you that during my tenure in Lincoln County, the DSS there went through a similar process and selected Northwoods as well. The conversion there went well, and the DSS director was pleased with the outcome. Debbie Jones of our DSS has contacted other DSS directors in the state who use Northwoods, and the reviews have all been very positive. We've broken this project into 2 parts. Originally, it was all going to go through Northwoods, but what we're doing now is the first is a contract with Northwoods. The second is with other vendors, including microfiche and equipment vendors, where we believe we can get better pricing than going through Northwoods. The best news is that the state of North Carolina will pay about $898,758 over a 5-year period for this installation and the ongoing software maintenance contracts. Attached are 4 spreadsheets prepared by the DSS showing that we can pay for this system within 5 years from the savings generated. The first shows the 2 separate contracts. The second shows our savings over the 5-year period for both contracts. And the third shows the savings from the Northwoods contract only. The fourth shows the savings from the other vendors' contracts. And the fifth shows the annual savings to the county and the cumulative savings over the 5-year period. The consultant's PowerPoint presentation about a month ago showed considerably more savings than we are projecting, but his assumes that the personnel savings would be actual cuts in personnel. Debbie Jones believes that most of the staff would need to remain but would be doing actual social work functions during the time saved. However, we have cut 3 full-time positions and 2 part-time positions to help offset this cost. According to the DSS spreadsheet, we would save $385,705 annually. During the first year, our cost would be more than that to install the software and equipment. But in the other 4 years, we would have $254,139 per year in savings. The net result is that over a 5-year period, we would have a computerized, we would have net savings of $302,037. Every year after that, we would have net savings of $254,139 in savings. And we would have a computerized intake and records retention system that would significantly improve our service to clients and make the job easier for our personnel. We do not have to bid this out, as Northwoods has agreed to honor a piggyback bid of the bid that Brunswick County awarded to them on March 17, 2015. Our contract with Northwoods would be $1,353,136 for the first year cost, including hardware, software, professional services to install trainer personnel, and maintenance. Over the next 4 years, we would pay $153,740 annually for maintenance. We would then have contracts with other vendors at $436,200 the first year, then $30,476 annually for maintenance over the next 4 years. Combining these contracts over the next 5 years, after deducting the reimbursements from the state, would result in operating savings of $302,037. We can either use fund balance to pay for this or debt finance it at about 1.65 annually. I'm recommending that we use fund balance for this. I recommend that you authorize the following. A would be, and these would be the motions, how they should be worded if you agree to this. Enter into a contract with Northwoods for $1,353,136 for the first year installation and $153,740 annually for each of the following 4 years for supporting services. This contract would be subject to approval of the detailed language by the county attorney, who is also the attorney for the DSS board. B, authorize expenditures up to $436,200 in the first year for the acquisition of equipment and services from Microfiche necessary for this project. In addition, in the following 4 years, we would agree to pay support services of $30,476 annually. The IT department would be authorized to begin this acquisition process immediately. If you go to the next page, this is a summary of the first year's cost. You'll see you have the $1,353,136, reimbursements of $430,083, our savings of $385,705, and so the net cost the first year is $537,347. That's for Northwoods. The other vendors, it would be $436,000. We would have reimbursements from the state of $243,176. Annual support services reimbursement $15,850. So that our anticipated first-year cost would be $177,174. This next chart on the next page is probably the most critical one to look at. This shows over a 5-year period the payback on this. Under year one, you'll notice that we have anticipated savings is $385,705. That's the same in each of those years going across. The cost for Northwoods is $405,724. You then have reimbursements. Then you have Northwoods at $695,496, and then Northwoods at $503,900 with various reimbursements, annual support and the cost, and then the reimbursements. And so the first year combined would be $714,519. In year 2, 3, 4, and 5, you'll notice that we have net savings of $254,139 because of the savings that we have plus the reimbursements coming from the state. So if you follow that out on the bottom line across to the total for 5 years, you'll see that we have a positive return of $302,037. So this thing pays for itself in 5 years, which is what I'd said earlier. And just to refresh your memory is years 6, 7, 8 going out, we'll continue to save money on it. I just gave you the 5 years to show it would pay for itself within 5 years. That's pretty much the program. You have the other 2 charts, but I think those are the most critical ones. Ms. Jones is here if you have any questions that you want to ask about the operation of it. We are getting a $75,000 discount if we enter into this agreement prior to June 30th. The other thing that does is puts us in line in front of several other counties that are considering migrating over to Northwoods. So our recommendation is to adopt the motions as I gave you in the memo, the last 2 paragraphs.
Pleasure of the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pate.
I will make the motion that we accept the recommendation of the county manager and add the budget amendment to meet the need for this contract.
Have a motion on the floor. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Daugherty. Mr. Wood first.
I was just going to say, the county attorney has advised me that this motion also needs to include that we're authorizing the piggyback contract.
I meant to say that. Add that to my motion, please.
Well, I don't think I put it in mine, so I'm the one at fault here.
Well,
Bottom
you
line
brought
is
it
we need
up
to add it.
last time we talked, so
Yeah.
I should have said that.
And you've given the proper notice.
Yes.
Mr. Doherty.
I'm in awe that the cost of software in this would run $1.3 million. I'm in awe that there are 37 other counties that have already acquired this. But I realize the urgency of that. But I think that we all need to kind of pause for a moment and recognize what we're talking about here. I mean, those are huge amounts of dollars.
Yeah, they are.
I suppose the good news is that a large portion of that is being paid by the state.
That's right.
And at the end of 5 years, that it will have paid for itself and we will have full use of the service. The other interesting thing in here was the cost of the annual fee. The annual fee to Northwoods is $153,000. These guys are getting rich off of this, of us keeping up with all of this. But the statement's been made, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mayor.
Being on the DSS board, I see where Commissioner Daugherty's coming from, but if you look at the fine details and someone being here full time, maybe more than one during the process of training. The other thing that I think is that the justification, some of the other counties that have not gone to paperless yet are having to add anywhere, we've heard from 30 to 40 employees. Is that right, Ms. Davis? So we are doing it. We have to do it sooner or later anyway, and we're already behind, as already been mentioned. And it is a lot of money, Commissioner, I agree with you. But the payback is there, and that's a good thing. Maybe next year, if we wait a year or so, this money from the state may not be available. So I'd say now's the proper time to do this.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Pate.
just want to add some additional things. This is something that's, excuse me, sorely needed. Now, we're running a horse and buggy system now. That's how archaic it is. I was in all that we were running a system like we were, and it creates 4 times the work than this will. You're going to end up with you got a proven system. We're not blazing any new trails. And you're going to be able to provide quality social work services that we're just not able to do at this point. We are, because of all the additional paperwork that takes place out there, it adds such additional stress on the staff. Our turnover rate is just terrible. And not just Wayne County, this is across the state in social work altogether. Now, there are other reasons as well, but I think this is a big one here. And I think if we can eliminate some of the day-to-day paperwork and let them focus on what they're supposed to be doing instead of, filing records and sending them across the, you try to find a record, you can actually look at a computer and see it, as opposed to going around the DSS building and trying to find it. It's just unbelievable. But I agree, it is a lot of money. But it's unbelievable. Even when I was in my old job, we had a system that worked in the 80s that we could share information. I just was unbelievable to me when I walked in there and saw that they were still doing it pencil and paper.
Mr. Chairman.
So I'm through.
Mr. Martin.
I'm fully in support of what you all have found that's going to take us to the next level. My question is, we're good through 5 years. What's going to happen year number 6? When, with my experience back in the school system, software and hardware would be fine for about the first 4 or 5 years, and all of a sudden, either the hardware wouldn't handle the software, they made a software change. And so 5 years will pass rather quickly. I compare this to some in private life. I'm dealing with folk who have given warranties and so forth, and they have a way of it disappearing so quickly that all of a sudden you're stuck with having to pay costs. So I'm concerned, not the first 5, because I can see the dollar figures manage that, but what happens, and I thought we talked about it when the gentleman was here, but time has caused me to be a little bit foggy on it. What's going to happen year number 6?
Well, let me address that. If you look at the chart, you'll see that we're saving about $254,000 every year thereafter. So in terms of, at that point, if we need to replace some of the computer equipment and things, we'll have money to be able to do that. As far as the software being current, that's part of this large amount we're paying every year. So the software 5 years from now will be their most current version. Because what you're paying for under this support, which I agree is a big number, I had to get back in the chair too, after I read all this stuff. We went back over it about 3 times because I wanted to make 100% sure of what we were doing here. So in terms of where you're at 5 years is the software would be completely up to date. It would be the latest version. You would do an extension of the pricing on it. As far as the hardware, you're right that most of the computerized operation, as far as the desktops and things like that, would have to be replaced, but we have to do that now.
That's right.
But this would give us $250,000 a year, which would more than offset that, and we would do it on a rotational basis. I don't envision that we would wholesale go in and change it all, but we do put some in Ed every year for making those changes. So I actually think we'll be in very good shape going forward on year 6. The big cost is this initial installation, training, all of that.
One final question, and just wondering, I guess, how if the length of, they've got 37 counties or already in or some such number. I guess I was wondering how often have they upgraded it since they first began it with those counties? And what will we wonder?
Well, they'll do upgrades throughout the year. You might get 1 or 2 a year. It just depends on, one of the nice things about going with the industry leader in North Carolina is that whatever comes down the pike from DSS, and a lot of this stuff, remember, is driven by what happens at the federal level, because a lot of the state money is passed through federal money, but it's also passed through federal regulations. If those changes come about, this company will have to modify the software to deal with whatever change there is. And that's usually what's going to drive your updates. But the fact that you have 38 of us now doing that, they're going to have a larger group to pass along that code writing cost too. And so that helps as well. But it also means that they would be more prone than smaller companies to make those revisions in a timely manner. The only other thing I wanted to stress is that we looked at 2 or 3 other companies. So we've looked at virtually every company that does this in North Carolina. And it needs to be a company that's written it for North Carolina, because every state, the federal regs are the same, but every state has a few tweaks on it from the Department of Health and Human Services here in the state. So you need to go with a company that is familiar with North Carolina. This is the industry leader in that. And again, they have almost 40% of the market share now, and that's probably going to grow.
Anyone else? I would just like to say that, Wayne County has been guilty in the past of blazing the trail sometimes, and I think by us being number 38 in the state that we're not blazing the trail this time. So I certainly hope that we're going in the right direction. Excuse me. And also, as the other commissioners have said, this is a lot of money. And I know it can't happen automatically, but I understand that we are duplicating and triplicating and paperwork and wasting a lot of trees. But I would certainly hope in the future, at some point, if this system is as good as it we've been told it is, Debbie, as you have people to retire, I think this board would appreciate if you could work around filling those positions. Don't want to see anyone lose a job, but at some point, we're going to really need for you to look at maybe not filling some positions as people do retire or leave. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor of Mr. Pake's motion, show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous. Next item, Mr. Wood.
Okay, the next item is the motion to convey Mount Olive property accepted from the Wayne County Board of Education to the University of Mount Olive. I have given you a memo on that. You unanimously accepted that. It's about 0.4 acres. The Board of Education is requesting that you convey the property to the University of Mount Olive at no cost in consideration of the services rendered by the university to the Wayne County Public Schools, where they don't charge them any cost for that. The memo that I gave you has the attachment. One of the attachments on page 70 is some of the services that are provided by Mount Olive to the public school system at no cost. So they do have a long-standing working relationship, and because of that, the school board is asking that you convey it at no cost.
Pleasure to the board. Mr. Camardi.
I would like to make a slight editorial, a comment before I make a motion. Mount Olive, the University of Mount Olive is a great and integral part of southern Wayne County, but all of Wayne County and the region. They do a lot of great things. A lot of folk are getting educated because of that university. They play a great part in Mount Olive. I ride past there every day. Their soccer fields and activities just growing. They're building new dorms. So it's adding to the quality of life in and around Mount Olive. And on that said, I would like to make a motion to convey the Mount Olive property accepted from the Wayne County Board of Education to the University of Mount Olive.
I have a motion on the floor. Any comments? I'd like to make one. I think that it's appropriate to say that this is a project that's I agree with, but this is a project that's going to be carried on in the city limits of Mount Olive at no cost to the city of Mount Olive. This is a half-acre of land that we're giving to the university. Anyone else have any comments? If no other comments, all in favor show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, could I go back to the Northwoods contract? Did we not need a motion also on the microfiche? Or was that inclusive?
That was the second part. You had A and B.
So it was all inclusive
It's all
in that
inclusive.
motion?
His motion was to approve the recommendation.
Okay, I just want
And
to
then
make
add
sure.
the piggyback, as the council said.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, and it included the budget amendments as
okay.
well.
Okay, thank you very much.
I know you're still in shock, Joe.
We all are.
Further shocked that I raised my hand on it. Go ahead.
Next item, Mr. Wood.
Where are we after that?
Number three under unfinished.
Okay. Motion to approve the Mount Olive Industrial Park Declaration of Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions. Mr. Parker.
These are some that Crystal Geddes at WCDA has been working on. We have tried to work with the town of Mount Olive to let them express any concerns they might have, as well as Mount Olive Pickle being the first tenant in the park. We will have something that the manager and I have looked over them, and we will look over them when they get them when they're in final form. We would recommend that they would be in the interest of the county. The main things that I think that bring to your attention is the county or WCDA, which you would end up funding, will be responsible for keeping up the common area in the park until the park is full enough and that there are assessments that would pay that way. It would generally be thought that when the county sells property to other individuals, other entities other than Mount Olive Pickle, that those funds would then be used to reimburse the county for any money that it has put out in advance.
Any other questions for Mr. Parker?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Doherty?
Is it my understanding that Andy's is actually part of the park?
Yes.
He's not?
It's not. They would have to ask to come in.
Oh, okay.
So it's just what the county owns right now, which is also, includes the Mount Olive Shell Building. And we were working with the town of Mount Olive to protect the citizens who are on the backside of the undeveloped part. I guess the other thing that was, I think is important, is that the county would not be obligated to put any infrastructure into any property that it didn't own. For instance, if an adjoining property owner wanted to come in and be subject to these covenants, that would be just like any other developer coming in and having to put in all the infrastructure.
So what started this was the 45-acre tract that the town of Mount Olive is in the process of rezoning. And then it became more critical time-wise with the sale to Mount Olive, because we wanted the covenants and restrictions to apply to all of the properties out there except what had already been sold, which is the Highway 55 headquarters there. So it's critical that we get these in place so we can go to closing with Mount Olive Pickle, and it be subject to the covenants and restrictions. Because if you close without these being in place, then they wouldn't be under them either.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mayor?
just a matter of information, do we have covenants and restrictions on Park East? Industrial Park out here on Savage?
You don't have this type of restrictions. You have some, but they're not as detailed as this.
I'm just thinking out loud here, why would these need to be a lot more restricted than what we have?
Well, they're not more restricted, they're just more detailed.
Well,
And this is what we want to go forward with as we develop new industrial parks as well. This is where we want to get to.
okay, all right, thank you.
Well, my question is restricted as these are, basically what I'm thinking is probably Park East is not restricted enough.
Might not be. We can
Okay.
revisit that.
That's a different story.
Well, the other thing is though, and Borden will need to answer this, but whatever you've sold out at Park East is under those sets of restrictions. They would remain under those unless they voluntarily agreed to change to these. Is that correct?
Right.
So if you put in stronger ones, they would only apply to the sale of future properties out there.
That's right. And there's some discussion about what you really want to continue filling up Park East with.
And the WCDA has a product development committee, and they're working on those issues now. So we may or may not be back to you in terms of Park East at some point.
Question. Do we have some sort of document out of Park East, not this one, but that was voted on by county commission?
There was an original agreement between the public and private sectors at Park East. There were substantial private owners that were part of it, and some of them have, the county has bought from some of the original private sectors, and the other private sectors have taken out part of the property from any restrictions so they could do something else with it. And the county would be able, if what it still owns, would be able to take out something if you wanted to do something with a portion of what you owned that would not be under the current restrictions.
As long as we can, do those things and remain competitive when people want to come and look at our properties, both
That's
here
right.
and south,
Well,
wherever. That's the key thing.
And that's an
in my
excellent
opinion.
point. These things are always a balancing act, because you want certain protections for everybody in the park in terms of, what kind of structures and that sort of thing. But at the same time, you don't want them to be so onerous that you can't recruit.
That's right.
That's my point. So we feel, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So we feel comfortable, I'm assuming, with the Wayne
Yes.
County Development Alliance and our county attorney that these restrictions, these covenants do not inhibit anyone from possibly moving into that park. We want to do everything we can to attract people.
Right. Well, let me say this. The two people who've been on this project primarily have been the county attorney and the WCDA president.
Okay.
And she's not going to do anything to shoot herself in the foot. These things are patterned after other county industrial parks that work.
Okay, I'm satisfied with that. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Doherty?
I think the main thing here is that the adjoining property owners to the park had great concerns in regards to some type of a buffer and those things so that they can enjoy their property as we are developing the industrial park. So I think it's a good thing, and Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve them.
Have a motion on the floor.
Do you need to modify that motion anyway? That's fine.
Well, we were discussing this. I thought,
So somebody already,
huh?
Let's talk about the purchase too.
Purchase
Is that separate?
650,000, that was supposed to be.
That would be the next thing we need to
Oh,
put
you
this
want to
in
do it
place.
separate?
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? If no other discussion, all in favor show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous.
now we needed
We
a
need a
motion.
motion to sell for the $650,000 to Mount Olive Pickle Company, subject to these covenants and restrictions.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion on the floor that we sell the Shell Building property to Mount Olive Pickle for $650,000. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor show sign of right hand. Motion carries.
We can close now.
That's right.
So, well, we've got to get these recorded.
Okay, Mr. Wood, consent agenda.
Got the consent agenda. You see the 5 items listed. We went over those in the pre-meeting. The first is an audit contract with Nunn Brashears to audit the current fiscal year, which will be ending June 30th. We have the Wayne County ABC Board travel policy. State law requires that you adopt that policy every year. It is identical to our travel policy. It's the same as last year. We have a motion to establish a public hearing on June 16th at 9:15 a.m. For Kenneth and Genia Fields rezoning request at 872 North Carolina Highway 111 South. Then you have a resolution on the Berkeley Mall July 4th fireworks. And then we have a number of smaller budget amendments that are under the consent agenda.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion on the floor. We approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous. We got about 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and get the first item of new business out of the way.
Okay, the first one is page 105 in your packet. And you have a resolution dealing with Military Appreciation Month.
Mr. Bell, since you are retired military, would you read that resolution, please?
Yes, no problem. Whereas the freedom and security that the citizens of the United States enjoy today are direct results of the sacrifice made and the continued vigilance, can't say it, given by the United States named armed forces over the history of our great nation. And whereas the service and sacrifice made by members of the United States Armed Forces and their families have preserved the liberties and have enriched this nation, making it unique in the world community. And whereas in 2004, the United States Congress passed a resolution proclaiming May as the National Military Appreciation Month, encouraging all Americans to remember those who gave their lives in the defense of freedom and to honor the men and women of the United States Armed Services who have served and are now serving the great country together with their families. And whereas the citizens of Wayne County encouraged to recognize the incredible sacrifice made by men and women of the uniform and their families, and the significant contribution they have made and continue to make in defense of this nation and preservation of our freedom. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Wayne County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim May 15, 2015 as Military Appreciation Month in Wayne County, and encourage all citizens of the community to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities adopted this 19th day of May 2015. George Wayne Acock, Chairman.
You made that form of a motion, Mr. Bell?
Yes.
Have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous. We do not have time for the next item before our public comment section.
Mr. Chairman, we might could do item number 4 and item number 8.
Okay, let's take care of number 4 then.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Item number 4 is subdivision plat approval for Glen Laurel subdivision, section 9. It's a final subdivision to owner developer H-Ray Family Limited Partnership. Surveyor is Dan Butler. It's in the Stony Creek Township off Dalpate Road. It's lots 88 through 105. Consists of 28 lots on the east side of Laurel Drive in the Glen Laurel subdivision. Development is an extension to Kaufman Drive. Glen Laurel subdivision is located off Dalpate near its intersection with North NC 111 Highway. The property is zoned IH for height restrictions only, and it's shown within the rural enclave area of the Wayne County Growth Strategy map. This section will have 28 lots fronting on 2 new streets. Access from Dalpate Road will be through Glen Laurel to Laurel Drive, and it's currently vacant land. It'll be in the Charles B. Acock High School, Wayne Middle, Northeast Elementary School Districts. Water will be serviced by Belfast Patetown Sanitary, serviced by Patetown Fire, EMS Station 7, Goldsboro MPO, Transportation Planning. It's not in a water supply watershed. It's not in a voluntary ag district. There are no wetlands present, and it's in Board of Commissioners District 3. The Wayne County Planning Board recommends the plat be approved.
Chip, is that Board of Commissioners District 3 or 5?
5.
Yes,
Maybe.
5, excuse me.
Thank you.
I thought it was.
5.
Excuse me.
I do have a question, if I could ask.
Mr.
Well,
Mayor.
in relation to it, which, if you're coming from, going to 111, where is 111 on this, and where is, Dalpate Road? Now, where, is this on the right-hand side of Dalpate Road, or? If you're
On the
coming-
right-hand side.
If you're headed out toward.
Patetown Fire Department. take
Yeah,
the left.
you're going toward the fire department. Okay, I got an idea where it is.
It's been under development for quite a number of years.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion on the floor with Mr. Pate that would approve this subdivision plat. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Chip.
Thank you, sir.
It's 10 o'clock. Let's go ahead and
Excuse me.
it is 10 o'clock, time for our public comment section. If anyone has any public comments, please come forward. At this time, state your name, address, and you're allotted 4 minutes.
My name is Mindy Robinson. My address is 249 Community Drive in Goldsboro. I live in the Rosewood community. And I am a member of a group of local citizens called the Down East Coal Ash Coalition. I'd like to thank Mr. Aycock and Mr. Gurley for coming to our previous meetings. We really appreciate that. We have a meeting coming up tonight at the Wayne County Public Library on Ash Street at 6:30. We've had a lot of things happen since the last time that we had a meeting in April. Duke Energy has pled guilty to coal ash crimes, including at the Lee plant out in Rosewood for illegally discharging coal ash into the Neuse River, and they're paying quite a hefty fine for it. There's also been 3 wells in Rosewood have come back as unsafe for human use. One of those wells tested positive for hexavalent chromium, which is not a naturally occurring substance, but it is a substance found in coal ash. So we're still waiting on tests to come back from several other wells that were tested. And now that we are getting some of these wells coming back as unsafe, we're trying to get the state to allow more wells to be tested for those people who opted out in the original testing when nobody really thought there was a problem. So I just would like to invite all of you to attend our meeting. We also will be at the Community Unity Day at Minot Well Park on June 6th. We will be speaking there. And we will also have an upcoming meeting in June at Rosewood Church of God, where it's just date and time to be determined. So I have some flyers if y'all would like them. I don't know who to give them to. But, and that's it. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else have any comments?
Tom Drew, P.O. Box 587, Goldsboro 27533. One quick thing on the coal ash, it's been advertised, PBS radio, and I'm concerned of whether the library would be big enough. Hopefully it's too small. Fraudulent 911 calls are a problem. As a citizen aware of one, potential one, I did a public records request. In absence of a reply dated and signed explaining any delay or denial, I filed a motion compelling disclosure that would cost one today $150. A judge unaware of the specifics of my request denied my request as frivolous. I recognize that response then and since as out of order. I did stop there. On May 14th, to secure a matter as findings of fact to the 2014 amended election protest via an email to the county manager's office, I did a public records request of the county manager on 5/15 with no known reply due to Hotmail service that does not inform me that the email has been opened. I went to the county manager's office and secured delivery of that emailed request by a dated and signed copy of that email. Absent any known reply as of this hour to that public records request, it is cause ordered to leave here and go directly to the clerk of court's office and file a motion compelling disclosure, with the judge agreeing that the motion is in order and finds the county manager dysfunctional in securing the public record requested. All costs incurred on my part would be redeemed from funds from the county manager's office's budget. Is that correct, Mr. Parker? You can answer later. Prefer to be on WCC's campus with this sign. Though due to arbitrary, capricious, indefinite, and significantly a ban without benefit of appeal in the fall of 2004, I found it imperative to hold this sign. And that I made Tom Rawlsley, then president, his chief legal counsel, and I believe WCC chief legal counsel, of those conditions then and since, and there's been no known response, is a need to do another motion compelling disclosure to secure that they do have copies of those requests and that there has been no known response. I did a public records request back then, back in '04. I was banned then from last 6 of an 8-part series on global issues sponsored by McNeil Lear. And it was granted, and in the findings of fact in there, another said that I wanted to talk about democracy and education. A year prior, the then President Bush, chief commanding officer, stated democratization of Iraq high priority. And that should have been a high priority of the global issue 8-part Lunch and Learn series then. And it still is now.
Thank you, Mr. Drew. Anyone else have any public comments?
Lonnie Casey Jr., Chairman of the Board of Wayne. I want to congratulate y'all on being transparent and putting all of the business on TV the way you spend the funds with the county. Your counterparts under the leadership of Lawrence Chuck Allen we voted 2 meetings ago to start putting it on TV. Now, because it's 5 months before the election, King Chuck decided he don't want it on TV anymore, and he got 5 of them to vote against it last night. They're going to take the work session off TV now. Only one council member represents the people, John. You need to know this, Reverend William Good. The rest of it is for Chuck. And gentlemen, Chuck led us in trouble with the local government commission, John. I don't know whether you knew that or not. He let our general fund get too low. And now we've got the proof. George has got a copy of the letter if y'all want to see it. Guys, you're doing a great job. We have no complaints on you so far. But these guys over here better watch out, because Chuck said that was a 50-50 deal. I told him he better tell the people that's going to vote for him next time, because I think he's 50% out. He only got him a 1 vote last time. I don't believe he'll make it this time. Y'all have a blessed day. Keep up the good work, man.
Thank you, Mr. Casey. Anyone else? Anyone else have any comments? If no one else has any comments, the public section, public comment section is closed. And while we're at this point, let's take a 10-minute break. We are back in session. Mr. Wood, if you move on to item number 2 under new business.
Yes, sir. We have Jeremy Hill here to make a presentation to you, our EMS director. Jeremy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioner of Wayne County, thank you for the opportunity to lead such a great organization with Wayne County EMS and Wayne Net. Each year, the American College of Emergency Physicians sets aside a week of national recognition for all of the EMS providers throughout this great country. That week has been chosen from May 17th through May 23rd. And we're coming to you today to do a brief presentation and overview and request a resolution to adopt this week, May 17th through May 23rd, to be EMS Week here in Wayne County. This year's theme is EMS Strong. And Wayne County EMS and Wayne Net, we are definitely a strong organization with great leadership from you and from others at OES, and we're very appreciative. I brought some staff with us that I'd like to recognize today. Brian Smith, the Assistant Manager of EMS, Joseph Sutton, the Operations Manager, Nanette Sutton, the Manager of Wayne Net, Mr. Tommy Burns, the Office of Emergency Services Director, and Mel Powers. We obviously are here to thank you for the opportunity to serve throughout the community, and we take our responsibility very seriously, and we appreciate that task. Every day we are suiting up in our EMS uniform, and we're utilizing the equipment that you provide us, and we're going out there and we're answering 911 calls and non-emergency calls based on the need as they arise. We have a staff at Wayne Net of over 14. We have an EMS staff of over 63 individuals, and we take that responsibility very serious. In 2014, our overall call volume for the 911 side was a little over 17,000, and we had just a little over 6,000 on the non-emergency side. I'd like to read to you quickly our mission statement. Wayne County EMS is dedicated to achieving clinical excellence with outstanding patient care, saving lives one by one, while being leaders in our community and role models for our career field. We are a responsible and accountable team of EMS professionals who value our employees and the community whom we proudly serve. Now I'd like to read the resolution that I'm requesting that you accept. The North Carolina here in Wayne County, whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of Wayne County Emergency Medical Services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the emergency medical service system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, and others, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continued education to enhance their life-saving skills, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishment of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Service Week. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Wayne County does hereby proclaim May 17th through the 23rd of 2015 as Emergency Medical Services Week in Wayne County with the theme EMS Strong, and encourages all citizens of the community to observe this week with the appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities adopted today, this date, May 19th, this day, the 19th of May, 2015. So as I've stated before, we do appreciate the opportunity to serve Wayne County. Wayne County EMS and Wayne Net, we are a strong organization. We are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and when we're called upon, we give the best service that we possibly can. And I thank you for the opportunity to lead such fine men and women every day.
Thank you, Jeremy. And I'd like to put it in the form of a motion that we adopt this resolution that Jeremy has just read. I put that in the form of a motion. Any discussion?
One comment, Jeremy, to the staff here and the staff unable to be here with us today. Thank you for your job. Well done. Most of the time you hear complaints, concerns, and how you can do it better. But I know you do it very good. You can do it well. And I appreciate the outstanding professional service y'all do. And to Nanette and the Wayne Net side, that's the unseen division. Their main mission is to transport non-emergency, and they do it well. I hear compliments all the time from Wayne Memorial Hospital staff and local rest home providers. And of course, as important is the number two, and that's the vital link you provide for emergency care on the 911 side. And y'all do it very good. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Mr. Gurley. We do have an excellent team.
Yeah.
Mr. Marty.
I was like to ask a couple of questions so that the public can hear the answer. Out of about 80 folk, I think you might have added up to be 77, but about 80, how many of those are dealing with emergency 911 care per shift, or however you want to break it up?
Yes, sir. We have on the 911 side 63 total staff, and daily we have 21 on shift working. That includes the 9 ambulances and the 3 QRVs, including the supervisor.
The QRVs are those little SUVs?
They're the expeditions, sir.
You have them sort of divided across the county?
That's correct, sir. 9 ambulances spread throughout the county, and 2 QRV vehicles that are the expeditions, essentially at Belfast Fire Station, Dudley Fire Station, essentially a north end and a south end, and then the supervisor here in the city, kind of a centralized position, and those are all paramedic positions.
So I'm just ask you a question. This is really one that I want personal for myself, but for a lot of other people like me, you carry a cell phone, you hit 911, and I know if I was home and I dial my home number, you would be able to look and see where I am. But I hit my 911 on my cell phone. Is there any locator kind of thing that you all would know where I am if I ain't able to say nothing?
Yes, sir. I'd like to actually call upon Mel Powers to better answer that question as the Office of Emergency Services Director. He can give you a little bit more details on the actual abilities that we have with location. But the 911 Center does a great job, and Mel, if you'd like to address that.
Just real quick, Mr. Marty. Yes, sir, we are phase 2 compliant. So when you dial your phone number, dial 911 from your cell phone, when it comes into 911 center, there's 2 different ways it can do it. It can triangulate through the tower sites where it uses GPS. So we can triangulate where you're at. We also get your information. So we have a callback number with phase 2. So we'll get your cell phone number, and we'll be able to call you back if you call us and then hang up. So we will be able to know where you're at.
That answer your question?
Yeah, that adds a lot to my relief position. I hope a lot of other folk, because you're just wondering, is you by yourself, what are your opportunities to get services? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayor.
I'd just like to commend the emergency services overall for what you do. I know we're working on the time element in my part of the county where I live on Whale Road, and that's just a joke, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But my personal experience as a commissioner has been with Wayne Nett, and I can tell you that when other people in this county have dropped the ball, Wayne Nett is there. So I have a really good experience with Wayne Nett. So I just want to make that public, that I am really pleased with all of our emergency services and the way that they are performing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I was going to make some comments at the Commissioner's comment session at the end of our meeting, but I'd like to make part of those comments now while the staff is here. I just want to commend y'all. We just had a great weekend in Wayne County, the Wings Over Wayne. We had, my understanding is, over 200,000 people to attend the actually 3 days of what was going on at the base. Jeremy, I think you have the numbers, but I just want to commend y'all. You went above and beyond in providing medical service and transportation for the people that were visiting Wayne County. Not only y'all, but some of the other volunteer agencies also. And I hit later on some of the other county employees. But while y'all were sitting here, I just wanted to personally thank all of you for putting in the time. And if you would, if you were Tommy One, if you got the numbers on the actual calls that you had over the weekend related to the Wings Over Wayne, have you got those figures?
I do, sir.
Could you just share that with the group, please?
Yes, sir. At Wings Over Wayne, obviously, anytime you have a large number of people together, there's a higher incident of occurrences, medical issues. There was also the issue with the heat. On Saturday and Sunday, in combination, we saw over 84 people and carried medical aid to those and utilized what's called a state medical assistance team, which resulted in 9 patients being transported from the air show from the actual site to our local hospital at Wayne Memorial Hospital. So we were relatively busy, and it wasn't just the staff represented here today. It was our great staff, and we all worked well, communicated well, and we were able to get that task taken care of.
And I understand you did have to airlift one to Vital?
That is correct, sir. That was not from the actual site of the air show. That individual received some aid and was transferred later.
Okay, all right. Anyone else? We have a motion on the floor. No other discussion. All in favor, show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous. And again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Wood.
Item number 3, Mr.
Mr. Chairman, we have the Summer Food Service Program, presentation by the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, School Nutrition Services.
Hello and good morning. Thank you all for inviting me. My name is Cynthia Irvin, and I am the nutrition consultant for the state of North Carolina. And I want to especially thank Mr. Petit for having me come. This program is a program that is a federally funded program that provides meals to children during the summer when school is out. So we all know that we have many children that really benefit from our program, benefit from meals all the entire summer long, the school year. But what happens to those kids during the summer? So this is the answer to making sure that meals continue during the summer program. So most families really look forward to the summertime when their kids are out because they go on great vacations, they just have a ball, they don't have to worry about school. But there are many children, and many in Wayne County, that are not so happy about when summer times come because they lose this access to the meals. So before I go further, I just want to start out with a video.
My stomach held itself tighter than you hold that textbook. Attention to detail fades when my body's running on E. My engine needed better ignition. My clothes were a soul bare of substance. Last meal was 2 days ago. Mama said meals were for the privileged. Lunch was wishful thinking. When 12 o'clock strikes, my eyes grow brighter than big city lights. Lunchroom warfare between those that eat and those that don't. Insults thrown like grenades over my poverty. Hunger turns me enemy of self. Its grasp turns me wicked. I hit the boy and stole his food. Teachers label me misfit, combatant. System labels me problem, but no one labels me worthy of a meal.
He tells me I sting like nettles. Make mockery of these limbs he calls arms. He says he can't remember being able to get rid of me. I am hunger.
Even when we're not doing anything but sitting in these chairs for hours, my body feels like it's giving up on me. My mind is running on nothing. Focus is a luxury I can't afford to have. See, my teachers, they constantly ask if I'm okay. They say, it's like you haven't eaten all day. It's like I'm a car, gas tank on E, being pushed up hills by administrators threatening hall sweeps. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I had breakfast before school. But I can tell you how many classes I'm failing because I can't seem to stay focused. I'm tired.
You keep looking at people like monsters when you should be looking for the monsters inside them. I am hunger. I live in the bellies of so many children. I claw at them from the inside out. I pound against their abdomen. I set a hornet's nest loose inside of the confines of their skull. You get angry when I get testy, but you don't know me. Funny story, many of the bodies I make host of don't even know they have lodger, they say.
Oh, I ate yesterday.
Oh, I've only had one meal, but that's okay. I mean, I ate something.
I have always been huge. The Dust Bowl taste of me stamped onto millions of tongues, but I've been shrinking lately. Since 2011, I have been defeated 107 million times, and I'm scared because
A mind free from hunger's grip is a deadly weapon.
Without you, I'd just be another statistic. Instead of drop out, you dropped off the aid I needed. From sunflower seeds to healthy meals nourishing my body, 16 million of us needed you. No kid hungry.
We thank you.
We thank you.
107
million times.
All of us can definitely contest that there is no child that should be going hungry in North Carolina, and I'm sure you would think that in Wayne County. So in North Carolina as a whole, we have 826,000 children that actually get free and reduced price school meals. And unfortunately, in our entire state, we only serve 17% of those children. But this is just a slide to just show the statistics of the problem. So in North Carolina alone, one of the things that we face, even in our school systems, is that in the beginning, before No Kid Hungry, we only were serving 45%, or we're at that point of serving 45% of our children breakfast, and this is during the school year. But look what happens during the summer. 83% of those children miss the opportunity of any opportunity to get any kind of assistance as far as those free and reduced price school meals. And so let's just take a look and see what that looks like. So what are we saying that breakfast provides to people? So if we can provide good nutrition, we have children missing less days in schools. We have children increasing their math scores, and their attendance in general just increase. And look at this. There is statistics that support that when you provide good nutrition to children, they graduate, and that their actual annual income is at least $10,000 or greater than what they typically would have gotten. So hunger has an effect on our adulthood. So let's look at Wayne County. So in Wayne County, last year, 16% of the 12,700, and this is approximately based on 2014 school year, this was the number of children that actually relied on free or reduced price school meal during the school year, but we only served 16% of those. So think about that. This is your children. There are federal dollars to feed your children to make them better citizens, better adults. And so we have a lot to do, and it's time to really consider a way that we can make a difference. So if the number of children that are missing the meals wasn't astounding enough, let's just take a look at the dollars that were brought into Wayne County to actually improve the children of Wayne County. So because we only served 16% last year, per day, the reimbursement to the county, it was about $7,000. If 25% was served, we could have served about $11,000, and again, 50% would have been about $22,000. But if all 100, this is per day, $44,000 more could come in to support the benefit of the children of Wayne County. And across the top, when we looked at all of your eligible children and how many days they were out of school, and the top part shows how much money was not accessed to support the needy children in Wayne County. So we're looking at more than $2 million. So the next slide just basically talks about an ask, really, is how do we get this information out? How do we rally around it? You know, at this point, the school system is doing some meals. We have other private nonprofits within the community, but there are opportunities to expand on that. So as a community, I'm just hoping that we can rally around it. And there are sites that are available throughout Wayne County that maybe people are not aware of. So this is just one of those slides, and I have these available if anyone is interested, that there's an opportunity to get information out to the citizens and making sure that the children that are needy are able to get to those sites that are offering the programs. But if you know of private nonprofit organizations or even in your schools, I think your schools could probably benefit in expanding their programs as well. It's a good opportunity to start that conversation. So I love this from Mother Teresa, and it says, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the water and create many ripples." And that's what I'm really asking all of you today, is to figure out a way that we can cast a stone, make many ripples so that many more children in Wayne counties can benefit from the program. And I know there is many opportunities to actually do the program. We're going to see one more slide, and then we're going to see what Brunswick County is doing, something very unique. It's not always that you have to have these programs where you bring kids into a school, but there might be during the summer because the parents are at work, and if you're in a rural area, you have to drive a long distance. Sometimes it might mean taking the meals to children.
Hey, do you know about hungry? It's okay if you don't. Hungry's pretty hard to see, but my teacher, Miss Beale, can spot it. She says it's not just a rumbling tummy. She says it's like a dry desert or a starless sky. Miss Beale sees hungry come to school. She says hungry makes it hard to learn. Hey, promise not to tell? Sometimes I see hungry. Hungry is the meanest, ugliest monster you've ever seen, with really, really bad breath. My little sister sees hungry too. Hungry makes me act different. Hungry makes us fight. Hungry shows up on Saturday and stays till Sunday. By Monday morning, I'm too tired to be hungry, but hungry follows me to school. Hungry is not at all a good listener. Today, Miss Beale told us something new. We are now going to have breakfast in the classroom. Not just today, but every day. We will take turns passing out a healthy breakfast to the whole class. Guess what? Today is my turn.
When we focus on ending hunger, kids get fed. No Kid Hungry is giving kids the food they need to have worry-free school days and happy, healthy summers. We're working together to make sure hungry can't hide, so kids can be kids and grow up to make the world of tomorrow the world we want to know.
A little bit of history. So Brunswick County was another county that we were having a struggle getting meals to children or getting the children fed. So the school system provided the child nutrition director a bus. And this bus actually ended up being a bus that had a banged up motor, so they had to actually do it. So the school system, the child nutrition administrator actually bought the bus. They gave the bus to them for free. They redid the bus, and they set up that little nice thing on the outside, the Hungry Tungy Cafe. And so they actually go into communities where children are there, and they actually provide the meals right there while the children are there. I think that was about $8,000 for them to redo the bus. But that's another good ask, to ask the community or the school system, if they have buses that are retiring, can they provide them to organizations that can maybe take on this task as far as taking the meals for children as well. Thank you all so much for your time.
Commissioner's got a question, please.
I have a question. I like the idea about the bus. Is there any money there through this, funds of this, to help pay for the cost of operation of the bus and the maintenance?
Yeah, in your handouts, I think you have a fact sheet. It basically, sponsors get reimbursed on the number of meals that they serve. And if you look at the dollar amount that is provided, it's on the back of the fact sheet. It actually does support the operation of the food program, and there is some funds that can offset like the gas and all those type things. When school systems do these programs, they actually use other funds that come from USDA to actually leverage their costs, like commodities, and so there's even more opportunity to have those extra funds to support the transportation piece. I can say that the private nonprofit sector may not have it might be a little bit more of a struggle for them. And I say that only because child nutrition usually have the proficiency to run a food nutrition program.
And as you and I discussed through our lengthy emails, you know, you've got a lot of spots that are like in Goldsboro and Mount Olive, but it tends to be the outlying areas of the kids there that aren't getting the meals. And
correct.
This might be a way to do
and
that.
that's where the bus will actually end up being a great way to actually take care of those children.
Do your current sites know that that's a possibility?
They do, and I would probably say what their struggle is having the bus or getting at least the resource to go out to that. I know that there's, and I haven't worked really closely with the school system as of yet. They are doing a program. Most of them are within the schools, but there's another organization in Wayne County, is Adler, and they actually do sites throughout Wayne County. I think they would be a great one that would probably be interested in doing something similar.
I guess you're out there banging the drum to try to find something.
I think just trying to find them the resource to get it, and then I think from there they should be able to administer the program throughout the Wayne County.
Well, you really hit on that. You really answered my question at the very end. Adler is South headquarters in Mount Olive, where I live, and I'm familiar with the gentleman that runs that program, and that was really the opportunity to have transportation that can get those meals out to the areas that's needed. And I know we're talking about summer, but one of the greatest concerns I've ever had, a lot of times on Sunday night when the snow is on the way, everybody's praying that we have snow, but the children who are relying on meals are home without the meals that they would expect to have on Monday. And so I always have to temper my, and my family's enjoyment of having a day off with the snow against the children we knew were not going to get meals. And so while it's a great summer program, I would hope that the great public instruction entity that is always in the forefront of social good
Actually, there
promote
is
this all the way across the board for all those days that children can go without meals.
And that's a great question. Actually, this is part of this program. And sponsors can automatically go ahead and set up that in case of a disaster, which includes natural disasters and even situations like snow, when they're out for an extended period of time, they can actually fill that gap during that time and actually continue this program during the school year.
Now, you may have already answered this, but to tap into your program, you have to be an approved nonprofit.
So
beyond.
in order to be a sponsor, like the school system in Adler, in order to be a sponsor who does the total administration of the program, you have to be a private nonprofit organization or a public agency. But as far as the sites where children actually eat, you just need to be an organization that brings children together somewhere to eat. And there's no infrastructure that is required. It can be, and just like we saw there, where they drove up to the trailer park and provided meals at a location. Of course, you would want a place where children can sit down and eat, but it doesn't have to be indoors. It doesn't have to have any kind of
Church cafeteria.
It can be a church. It can be wherever children congregate. Vacation Bible schools are huge in this program. Also, another thing is sometimes they have these youth groups that come together for the summer, maybe for a week or two. We would want to figure out ways that we can provide those meals all throughout the summer. Throughout the summer rather than a week or two, but anywhere that we can provide meals for children is great. Thank you all.
Anyone else? Thank you again for your presentation. All right, Mr. Wood, we've already taken care of number 4.
Okay. The next item is a motion to adopt a resolution approving the position classification and pay plan. As y'all recall at the last meeting, we went over the rules and regulations for implementing the pay plan. We already have the job descriptions, which are prepared by the HR director and approved by the manager. This is the last component we need for the pay plan. And enclosed is a resolution and attachment for you to adopt this class and pay plan. And note that the resolution states that no changes can be made to this classification and pay plan without an amending resolution adopted by you. We have worked with the assistant county manager, the HR director, finance department, including payroll and IT, to revise the existing plan and correct any problems with it. I did want to remind you that we need to adopt not the one in the agenda as attachment 1, but what we handed out to you this morning, which adds the business office manager for the public health department. And that's the only change in it. So with that, this will give you the grades assigned to each position that the county has, except for those we noted. There are several that are not covered by it, and we gave you an explanation of why on those. And so they are not graded, and they're on the, I believe it's on the back page is where they're shown. The assistant county manager, county attorney, county manager, registered deed, sheriff, and the Wayne Development Alliance president. The 2 elected department heads, those are set by you each year, but they're not on a pay grade. The assistant county manager, county attorney, county manager, and Development Alliance president are all contract employees. So with that, I'd recommend approval of this resolution. And with that, everything's in place then for us to make a recommendation, which I will make to you on May 28th for the implementation of the dollar figures for the next fiscal year with this.
Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion on the floor that we approve Mr. Wood's proposal and resolution. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Camardi.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to go personally on record to support the mechanics of this pay plan, which is what is in this document, and reserve the understanding to my constituency that I still am in favor of a cost of living raise for everyone. But I lost that vote 2 weeks ago, and I understand what 6 to 1 means. But to the public, I would just like to make this comment, and I'm going to read it. I would ask that any entity that is funded by Wayne County, funds approved by Wayne County, ensure that any person who works beyond their regular hours will be paid for all hours worked. I just stand on that statement, and thank you.
Anyone else?
I guess
Mr. Bell.
I better repeat what I said before. I'm going to support this, Mr. Wood, but as you know, that I don't like what we used to call in state government, the B and F, buddies and friends type situation when it comes to merit pay raises. And I just don't see this turn into one of those type of, and you assured me that it wouldn't. So I'm going to vote for it.
Mr. Doherty.
I too expressed my concerns on that in regards to some type of special arrangements being made between a department head and an employee under him. And you agreed that you have assured us that you will monitor this very carefully to make sure merit raises are given out to those that do in fact merit. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mayor.
My 38 years of dealing with the merit raise system, I find it exactly the opposite. I think that you'll have a lot less, not 100%, but you're always going to have some issues, but you're going to have a lot less under the merit system than you do in the existing system. I see huge gaps in the existing system that the county's been using for a long time. So having said that, any system that you put in, whether it be an evaluation system or any kind of system, payroll system, whatever, it's only going to be as good as the supervisors and department heads as far as their evaluation skills. And so that's where the whole key to a merit system being effective is going to lie. So, and this is not going to happen in 6 months. It's going to take a while to get all this implemented and get all the criteria down that's necessary to put every employee, 100% employees on the same level to get an evaluation and have an opportunity to earn a raise or not earn a raise. And so, like I say, my personal experience in my own company for 38 years, it's been a no-brainer for us. So I'm sure it can work, but it's going to be a lot of hard work to make it work. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else have any comments?
I said my last time.
If not, we have a motion on the floor. No other discussion. All in favor show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous. Next item, Mr. Wood, number 6.
All right. This is a motion to approve Blue Cross Blue Shield rates for fiscal year 15-16. As you recall, we lowered the premiums for our employees in fiscal year 15 by 6%. We've hired Mark III Consultants as our insurance broker to help us structure and receive bids on our various employee health and voluntary insurance coverages. We've completed the process for medical insurance. We have had a bad claims year so far in fiscal year 15, and based upon that and medical inflation, we were faced with a 17% increase in our cost. Mark III gave us options to get that cost down to a 7% increase in the portion of the premium paid by the county, which is the employee coverage only, and a 6.4% increase in the portion paid by employees under 5 different options. Employees pay the premium for any level of dependent coverage that they want. So we are essentially back near the premiums we had in fiscal year 2014 because we took them down 6%, now we're going up 6.4% on the employee side. We were able to make these changes because we have a self-insured plan that allows us to change the elements of the plan. Hopefully our medical claims experience will be better in fiscal year 2016, and we will not face such a large increase again. My recommendation is that you approve these changes. On the next page, I wanted to go through, or actually it's the following page, on 131. I wanted to go over with you how we were able to reduce this down. One of the things is that the reinsurance, we were able to save almost $200,000 on that when we rebid that. So Mark III was able to get that done. The rest of this I wanted to go over. I've highlighted in yellow for you where the changes are. You'll see the current plan. The first 2 columns are Blue Cross Blue Shield. That is the current PPO and the current health services health savings account. Then the initial renewal, you will see for the PPO and the HSA, both of those about midway down, we're looking at a 17.3% increase. Is everybody seeing that? If you look across there, with the changes we made in the yellow, we were able to take that 117 and drop it down to 7.3%. Okay, so now let's get into the details of it. The primary care physician, what we're doing under the PPO, it was 20, we're going to 30. Under the specialist position, a $40 copay goes to 60. We were at a 1,000 deductible. We went to 1,500 on that. The family maximum went from 2,000 to 3,000. Then on urgent care, so if you go to an urgent care center, instead of $40 copay, it's 60. On the pharmacy, we left the generic drugs at 10, which is the first one that's shown there, because we want to encourage people to go all generic if at all possible. But the 35 was raised to 45, the 50 was raised to 60, and then we kept 25% for the most recent drugs that are on the market. And that is how, by making those changes, we were able to drop it down to 107%, excuse me, so a 7% increase. And the budget, instead of being $7.177 million, is $6,565,000. So as y'all can see, we are spending a great deal of money on this program, and it continues to grow every year. Even if we have a good year, it's not out of the ordinary to get a 6 to 8% increase just for medical inflation. The copay changes is what took it up. That saved us 2%. The deductibles saved us 5%, and the pharmacy saved us 3%. So that's how we got 10% out of this. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Any questions from Mr. Wood?
Just a comment.
Mr. Pate?
I'm a state retiree, and I'm pulling out my state health plan. This is better.
Well, it is better. It is better. But what you're going to see over ensuing years is, we can't eat 6 to 8% inflation every year. Our revenues are growing at about 2.5 to 3% on average. So what happens is you end up having to tweak the plan virtually every year.
That was going to be my second question. I hope that we'll look at this on a yearly basis too.
We will. Every year we'll be going through this, and it may be that you want to have a committee that looks at this along with staff every year. But there are not a lot of options on doing this. I mean, we've bid the reinsurance. That's a separate component. You have the administrative services contract. We bid that out. Blue Cross was the best on that still. So then the bulk of the money is in the claims themselves. So it really comes down to the utilization of our employees using it. And so unlike a lot of costs, you really can't control everything here. It's what the utilization factor is. And so with that, though, the best you can do is look at your copays, deductibles, maximum out-of-pockets, things like that. And as you said, Bill, this is still a very, very good plan.
It looks fair to me.
And one of the things we do look at is the state employees plan as a comparison.
Because, the dynamics of healthcare, it's a moving target all the time, so it's hard to be fair to everybody. You can't just pay for everything.
Well, and as y'all know, if you're under Obamacare with some of the health exchanges, those are high deductible plans, and the deductibles there are higher than these. So that's the problem, I think, with most health insurance today is how do people pay the high deductible in a given year? And all of us are facing that.
Mr. Darby?
I'm glad my fellow commissioner down here has brought that up, because I think it's something that our county employees need to be aware of, and that is that our medical plan is a great benefit for them. And sometimes, you know, you're not necessarily appreciative of that benefit unless you see what other people are doing. And I think that really some of our county employees need to see what the state plan is and what the deductibles are and the maximum out-of-pocket and so forth. Not only with the state plan, but also in the private industry. In the private industry, most deductibles are substantially greater than $1,500 or a maximum out-of-pocket of $3,000. Most of our co-pays are much greater. And the last point I want to make, and that is that this is really our county employees' plan. It's really your plan. And as such, the charges to that plan are going to reflect what that cost is. So there has to be buy-in from our county employees to recognize that the utilization, I think was the term used, the utilization of this is important, and how you use it. And what we use it for, and whether or not we're going to the emergency room, whether or not we are actually doing some of the things that we need to do to improve our individual health so there isn't that many additional claims. Any way that we can, and I'm not on the plan, but speaking as a county employee or to the county employees, as you all hold down those claims, so do you hold down its cost and its inflation or its increase. So that being said, I think that it's good, one, that we brought in Mark III. I think that's a remarkable event that took place. It not only saved us money, but also it allowed them to actually analyze it. In analyzing it, I think that I think we're moving in the right direction. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Mr. Kumar.
Looking down at the bottom of the page, I see that the pharmacy cost was a savings of 3%. Is that one of the savings? And that was by encouraging folk to use more generic?
Yeah, we left the first, you know, you see 4 sections there. The first one, Ed, is $10. It stayed $10. That's the generic. And we don't want to charge more for that. That's where we want people to go.
And not to criticize this plan, but I just want to bring something out that I saw on television a week or two ago. One of the, probably Channel 11, I believe that's what we watched. There's a reporter named Steve something, and he was doing a special on generics. Not that Steve, but that Steve probably can find out. He was doing a special on generics, and it concerned that the generics may not be as effective as the originals. And I have always worried that that was the case. And I'm not saying that his special is gospel, but he did bring it up, and I've not been able to find on their website any more information about it. But when each time a plan comes up, and all the insurance companies and everybody else wants to go to generic so they can have less money put out. But as a person who use prescription drugs, and I have had my medication switched from generics to generics to generics, I find that troubling, because if the insurance companies are encouraging generics because of dollars at the expense of our health, I'm real concerned about that. And therefore, I would only want our county government to take that in consideration. And that's the one area that I have some concern with, is are we being promoted towards generics to save dollars at the expense of our health? Because
well, we're promoting it, but it's not at the expense of their health. Let me back up a minute and explain this. When first of all, pharmaceutical companies are not encouraging generics. They don't want them. What happens is when a pharmaceutical company comes up with a new drug, they're given a patent protection on that for so many years. And during that time, they're the only ones that can sell that drug. Consequently, those drugs cost a tremendous amount of money. And the idea behind that is they need to recoup their development costs, their R&D costs to come up with that drug. But after so many years, and I don't remember what it is, 12 or 17 years, something like that, then the patent can come off. Now, what pharmaceutical companies try to do is change the formula a little bit, enough to get an extension on that patent. Because if they don't, then it's open to generic. And remember, when they have that patent, other people can't come out with that drug, but essentially the formulation, the chemical formulation is identical.
I stand corrected, just a minute. Pharmaceuticals, maybe not, but United Healthcare is
the
company.
the insurance companies.
The insurance companies, I'm sorry.
And basically, remember, we're self-insured, so it goes back to what Joe was saying earlier. We're trying to hold down our costs, but I want to be clear, we're not trying to jeopardize anybody's health. These generics are the same formulation. It's just that the patent protection has gone off, and therefore other manufacturers are now free to come in and manufacture that product. Because they didn't have the R&D costs, they're able to do it at a much lower cost because the actual ingredients aren't that expensive. And that's why you see a significant drop in price between those drugs that are protected with a patent versus those that are done now generically.
And also, Mr. Wood, your name brand drugs, those companies spend billions and billions of dollars a year on advertising.
Yeah.
After before the patent runs out, and after the patent runs out. And the big part of the cost savings is your generic drugs, they don't advertise.
That's right.
They don't have to advertise.
That's right.
And so it's all about the money.
That's right.
Well, the only thing I was bringing up was that I had heard a couple of weeks ago that it suggested that generics were not as effective as the original drugs. Now, what percent of strength is in it? I have no idea to be able to tell you that. All I'm doing is bringing forth to you that there was and it was on Channel 11. He was running a special on it. There was a suggestion that, and I will take it upon myself to go back and find out more about it, but I bring it to you, simple public information.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, that's essentially how we got to the 7%. And again, you don't want to use all your savings in 1 year because we're going to face an increase every year, and we're going to be having to tweak this thing every year.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, we got a motion on the table? I don't think so. Okay.
I have one question for you, if you don't mind. Mr. Wood, during this process, and you've done a great job keeping costs down, do we negotiate, like, for example, for immediate care, urgent care, that type of medical care, do we negotiate with anyone particular or give them a chance to bid to give us a better rate?
I don't think we do that because people are free to go to whomever they want.
I don't understand that, but what I'm trying to ask, if they would give us a better rate on the front side and the employee a better rate, then the employee chooses to go to the other side, they can pay twice as much, that's fine.
It's worth looking into.
And then the second part of that is, have we tried to negotiate way more hospital to be exclusive there as well and encourage our employees when it's available, services go there?
We have not. The reason we don't is you're in Blue Cross Blue Shield's PPO, so they've already negotiated those rates.
Well, I think it's those types of negotiations will probably be forthcoming in the next few months anyway. That's just the future, I think.
I mean, if we could get better than their PPO,
right.
But part of what you're paying for with them as the third-party administrator is you're into that specific network. So if we didn't use Blue Cross, if we used a different third-party administrator, they would need to have access either to Blue Cross's PPO or someone else's.
I guess I just asked put on your radar because it's going to be forthcoming, and then the first part, if we could somehow negotiate better pricing there, it'd be beneficial to the employee as well as the county, I think.
Yeah. Now, I will say also that, I mean, we'll definitely look at both of those. But I will say also with the urgent care, typically they're in the Blue Cross PPO as well.
Right.
So I didn't want y'all to think we're paying full price. We are getting the PPO discount that they negotiated.
And like Mr. Pate mentioned earlier, this price is better than the state rate at the
Yeah.
urgent cares and medicals and immediate cares and such. So,
But I will take those suggestions back to Mark III and see how that works out and see if we can do that. Because obviously, if any kind of savings we can wring out of the system, we certainly need to look at. So what you're saying, Joe, is look at urgent care and Wayne Memorial Hospital.
Yeah, and make them compete for the business.
Okay. All right, we'll listen.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the Blue Cross Blue Shield rates for fiscal year 2015-2016.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor, show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous. Number 7, Mr. Pruitt.
Okay, the next item is a recommendation on a website contract. I've given you a memo, cover memo from myself, and I've given you information that Jeremy Caton has provided. But we asked Jeremy to come in and make a presentation to you and answer any questions you may have with that. As y'all know, Jeremy is the marketing director over at WCDA, but 10% of his time is spent, or 20% of his time, excuse me, is spent as the webmaster for the county. So it's in that capacity that he served on the committee that he's going to talk with you about. He's been a big help to us in reviewing all of this and looking at where we need to go to on a new website. So with that, Jeremy.
Thank you. Good morning. I want to start off saying thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come up here and talk to you guys about something that's very important to me, and I think it's something very important to the County of Wayne. Before I get into the meat of what I'd like to talk about, I just want to give a brief history. And to start with, in 2007, the County of Wayne hired Schoolwires to build a new user-friendly website. Before that, the IT department actually built and maintained the site, but the programming language that they used was very difficult, and your average person wasn't going to be able to maintain the site. So we wanted to have a site that, the county employees could go in there and update content as needed. So 5 years later, we actually came back to Schoolwires, and in 2012, we asked them to do a redesign of our website. What that did was really just gave us a facelift. It didn't affect any of the back-end functionality of the site. So we were still kind of operating on the system of the, that we got in 2007, but we just had a more updated look. And then in 2012, I was assigned the role of webmaster for Wayne County. Now, when I became the webmaster, I did some looking into the website, and I discovered that several pages had not been updated in several years. As a matter of fact, in 2012, I was seeing pages that weren't updated since 2008. And unfortunately, here we are in 2015, and we still have pages that haven't been updated since 2008. The one thing I want to say about that is some of these departments don't need to update their content on a regular basis. However, 7 years is quite a long time to not go onto your page and at least do something. I mean, things change over the course of time, so there should be some need to go up there and update the content. As I started looking into this more, I found that many employees were experiencing difficulties with managing the content. And the reason for that is the current system that we have, it's a word-based system. So in practice and in theory, it should be relatively easy to load your content in there. But what we're seeing is that when you load the content, oftentimes what you see on the back end when you're putting your content in is not reflected on the front end. So the employees are getting frustrated because they're having to redo this work over and over again. So it's, it's burning up their time on things that could be other things that they could be doing. And then I started receiving emails from citizens about the difficulty of navigating the website on their mobile devices and just simply the lack of electronic services. And the piece about the mobile devices is really important because, when any of us can take a smartphone or a tablet and go to our website, and when you go to our website now, you have to scroll up and down and left or right to navigate the site. So essentially the site is not what's called mobile optimized. So it's not providing a really good end user experience. So that's something that we certainly want to look at. But what I've done here is just put a simple graph together. I I won't say that these are based on any definitive facts and figures, but what I have noticed in technology is, as we all know, I mean, it grows exponentially. And unfortunately, with the way that we've been kind of moving along with Wayne County, with the website that is, you know, it's really kind of a really slow growth model. So we're, as you can see just here, I mean, we're kind of behind the curve. And I mean, really, Wayne County has not seen a significant website upgrade in over in about 8 years. So we developed what's called a web development committee, and it was comprised of the county manager, assistant county manager, Noel was the purchasing manager, director of IT, Stephen Cross, director of public affairs, Barbara Arnston, director of the public libraries, and the assistant director of public libraries, and myself. And so what we did is we came together and we looked at what we have now, and we looked at what other counties were doing and what we would like to be implementing. So we created this checklist. And the checklist, I won't say that it's necessarily in a priority order, but I will say that the mobile optimized site is probably high on the list. And it's for the reason I said earlier about end-user functionality and a positive experience. But really more importantly, two things. Research in 2014 showed that over 60% of all web traffic is from a mobile device. So what we're seeing is that people are accessing web through their mobile devices, smartphones, tablets. And really more importantly, recently Google, which is the #1 search engine in the world, had just changed their algorithm. So what they're doing is they're giving preference to any sites that are mobile optimized, and the ones that are not are falling down below the list. So what happens is when someone types in our name, Wayne County, we probably won't start, in the very near future, we're probably not going to show up on the first page. And that's where you want to be. You want to be on the first pages when people are looking for you, because oftentimes people don't go past the first page. So that's something that's really important that we implement as soon as possible, because as right now we're not mobile optimized, and with the current algorithm, I mean, we're losing it. We do want a user-friendly site for those who come to the site and use it, and then also for the employees who are going to be updating content. We want them to be able to update their content, hit save, and move on to the next thing that they need to do. We want to really look at electronic government, and with that, it's the opportunity to provide payment processing for all departments that accept payments, having forms that can be built on the site, that can be filled out on the site, that can be submitted on the site. Right now, with the way our current forms library is set up, most people have to go to a form, they have to print this form out, they either have to type it in or hand fill it in, then they have to bring it back to the department. And that's a lot of work for a citizen to have to do to file a permit or to file an application for employment. The other issue that we face, particularly in the application for employment, is that the way that our input fields are set up, if someone goes beyond that box, so if they type and it goes beyond the box that you can see, when they hit save, the HR department, county manager's office, whoever's looking at that resume or that application is not getting the full picture. They're not getting all of the information. So we're getting just a snapshot of really what we're supposed to be seeing. So having electronic government allows us to submit those forms electronically and see every piece of information that's input in those fields. We want an intuitive content management system. And what that means is what you see is what you get. When someone goes into the site, an employee goes into a site to update their content, we want them to be able to update the content there. When they hit save here, what they did here is what they see on the front side. Currently, that's really not what we're experiencing. We want a dynamic site. We want a site that looks good, that's attractive. I mean, it's really our online reputation. So when people come to that site, we want it to reflect all the great things that are happening here in Wayne County. And then lastly, there's a need for the Wayne County Public Library System to have their own sub-site. They have features and functionality, or they have needs for features and functionality that goes beyond what our site needs, the County of Wayne site needs. So we want them to have their own site where people can check out books or reserve books or make payments, pay fees, and those kind of things. So this was the checklist that we devised when we started going out or sent out our request for proposal. So we did that. We sent out a request for proposal. We received several submissions. From those, we narrowed those down to 4 companies that we felt were going to meet our needs. We interviewed those 4 companies. From that, we narrowed them down to 2. The 2 companies that we looked at, both companies could provide all the basic needs and services, but one of them really stood out because of the way it integrated its services. And the company that really stood out is called Civic Plus. Civic Plus has a lot of experience working with local governments and developing their websites. They have a very strong staff. They've been in business for about 20 years. So they really know how to do this and do this effectively and do it efficiently. So here I just basically did a comparison. Looking here on the left, this is us, and this is where we stand right now. We do not have any of those features, and right now Civic Plus hits every single one of them. So, cost. I know that's something that you guys are going to be concerned about, and we want to talk about that. So, Civic Plus is going to provide everything that we're looking for at an upfront cost, which is our build cost of $50,591. Beyond that, there will be a $10,654 annual fee. That's going to be the cost for maintenance, hosting the site, providing upgrades as needed. They will continue to roll out upgrades as we need them. So that's just to keep the site up and running, also integrating all of those electronic government services that I spoke about earlier. I do want to mention that the number that you see in your packet may not be the same number we see here on the screen. And the reason for that is because we went back to Civic Plus and we talked with them and we really looked at their request for their proposal, that is. And we did find some things in the proposal that was not necessarily needed for our site, so we pulled those out and then we just negotiated with them. And we were to go negotiate, the original proposal was around $60,000. We got it down to 55 and then we got it down even further down to 50. So we were really pleased with that because looking at the proposals that came across our desks, I mean, they ranged all the way up to 100,000 and as low as 30,000. The 30,000 sites just were not going to provide us with the needs, the functionality and needs that we were looking for. So really, this really did fall in the middle ground with all of the proposals that we received. And I mean, for the investment that we're making and what we're going to be getting back from them, it's really a fair price. So as I mentioned, Civic Plus is going to deliver everything that we've asked for, and they're going to deliver an integrated media center. Now what that means is currently, as we're doing right now, we're streaming this meeting. We're using a third-party vendor to stream this meeting. So we're paying this third-party vendor a certain amount of money per year for their services to be able to stream this meeting, to be able to show our citizens. Well, Civic Plus is going to be able to integrate that into our website. So that's a cost we're going to be able to eliminate right there. And also, too, it keeps people on our website. And really, that's what you want. You want your people, you want your visitors to stay on your website for as long as you can keep them up there. So by streaming these meetings and being able to have people come to our site and watch them right on our site, that's a good thing. It really helps us. They're also going to provide an integrated communications center. So what we'll be able to do moving forward is any kind of electronic newsletter, any kind of communication that we want to send out, we're going to be able to do this directly from the website. Again, right now we're using a third-party company to do that. So what we're doing is we're bringing it all under one wheelhouse, which makes it easier for the employees to manage all of these things that we do to inform our citizens. And then the other thing that Civic Plus is going to do for us is at year 4, we will be entering into a contract if all goes well. At year 4, they will give us an automatic upgrade to that site. So they're going to take the site and in essence rebuild the site and give us a brand new site at year 4 at no additional cost. So that's another thing that's a benefit, because what we're looking at now is ideally we'll say on average 3 to 6 years, depending on the type of organization you're in, you want to be looking at a website upgrade. So we're already getting that built in. So for this upfront cost of $50,000 plus, we're getting about 8 years now of lifespan out of that website. Whereas really before, we'd probably have to go back and look at doing an upgrade. I mean, we haven't done an upgrade in several years, so we're really at that place where we need to be looking at that. That's all I have to share, and I welcome any questions, and thank you for allowing me to present.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Dart.
The library sub-site.
Yes, sir.
Is $8,000.
Actually, what they did is they integrated that into the one price. Before, they were looking at a $60,000 cost and then an additional cost for the sub-site, but we actually negotiated that into one bundled price.
Okay. So there would not be any need to break that cost out and charge over to the library. Is that correct?
Well, we can.
But it's
It's
all inclusive now.
It is, but they did that.
It's all inclusive. I thought you meant from a accounting standpoint, Joe.
Oh, yeah, from a county council. You could, but actually it is all inclusive.
It is. They put that there to show the value of what that site costs.
Well, let me commend you, first of all,
for negotiating.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I think we all need to recognize that you can negotiate on some of these fees. So I want to commend you on that. The other thing I want to talk about is, I would envision that hopefully through this site, that people could order a reinspection on their septic tank.
Yes, sir.
Fill out the form, identify the property.
Yes, sir.
Pay the form online, pay for the fee online and submit it over. And so, so this can be expanded to include a number of other services.
And really, I use the HR as an example because it was one that, as we were working through our process, that one really came up a lot. But really, the permitting process. Someone could go on, fill out an application for a permit, submit that permit electronically, submit the payment for that permit electronically, and they can all do it at the convenience of their desk or laptop or wherever they are, or their mobile phone or smart, or their tablet. Really any of them. So yes, absolutely, they can do those things electronically.
Well, that's one of the so-called loads on our system, and that is an individual has to get in their vehicle, they got to take off work, they got to drive down here, they got to find a parking place, then they've got to go into that particular department, sit there and wait, then file for the form.
Yeah.
It really is a hassle. So any way we can streamline that through the use of our website would be fantastic.
And that's what people are doing, in their transactions with private businesses, so they're increasingly frustrated that they can't do that with county government.
Sure. You renew any of your licenses and so forth, you do it all online. You don't mail it anymore, you just go online and renew it and put in your credit card and be done with it.
That's right.
But, okay, thank you.
So based upon what my good colleague brought up, all kinds of meetings that we're having can be streamed across the website.
Yes, sir.
This meeting.
Yes, sir. And currently, right now, we are streaming this site. We're using a third-party vendor.
And to take this one step further, it's not that we don't need to come here to this meeting, but I'm just saying. I know that I would get that, but I was prepared for it. I was prepared for that. We cannot minimize, and should not, based upon what I hear you saying, the opportunity to take all technology into play.
Yes, sir.
Now, and I wasn't talking about, because I know you all love the media so good, I wouldn't dare not say that. But there's a lot of committee meetings that we are expected to go to. We cannot make them all. And I'm not going to name any of them, but your attendance to them is often a courtesy rather than actual information or facts that you wind up having to bring back to anyone.
Right.
And I'm not going to name names, but just this past week, I did not have an opportunity to go out of town to a meeting that I normally attend.
Sure.
After having gotten the document that was sent to me ahead of time, I put a call in to the director and talked to her about 5 minutes and got the gist of everything that had taken place.
Right.
And I looked back in the booklet and read what was in there, and I'm being real serious. As an all-county government, we need to look at all the kinds of meetings that we may have the opportunity to go to and take advantage of Skype and FaceTime and all those things. And we just need adequate training and so forth, Mr. Wood, to do those things. And we just don't simply need to get in the car and drive a half an hour, burn that expensive gasoline when we could be Skyping or FaceTiming or websiting or whatever. I just want to say that because it gave me an excellent opportunity to bring that out, because of all the conversations that's been in the news in recent weeks about Skyping and all that kind of thing. Please, let's take advantage of those kinds of things and save us gas, time, because quality of life is just what we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
If I could save a half hour driving to Goldsboro and a half hour getting back, that's an hour, and spend that valuable 15 or 20 minutes learning the information I did, then I could be doing chores for my grandchildren. So that's my point.
Chairman.
Mr. Pate.
I want to go back to what Commissioner Dollar was saying about septic tank permits and that kind of thing. This goes back to what we were talking about with the stuff with Northwoods. We're repeating over and over again from You do this part with this part of the health department, then you gotta see somebody else. You gotta see somebody else, and you're repeating the same information over and over again.
That's right.
And it's driving the cost up, and we've gotten a lot of complaints out there about that.
We are.
And I can foresee that this could reduce the cost of staff time, where we can start cutting the fees. And we've gotta move that direction, because we just can't keep raising fees on our constituents, because there's nothing else but a tax increase without putting it on the property. It's just coming in fees, it's back door. So we gotta go to this direction so we can cut the cost of government to our constituents. And I just had to get that out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Doherty.
I move that we accept the proposal and that we go ahead and authorize them to execute whatever contract necessary to, with Civic Plus to enhance our website.
A motion on the floor. Any other discussion?
And an appropriate budget amendment?
Yeah.
Decided to use some of the Eastern Region Economic Development.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
The other thing is we would like to, in the motion to contain, subject to the approval of the county attorneys reviewing the contract.
Subject to the county attorney reviewing the contract.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion?
And this is outside of the motion, but I would encourage the gentleman to think outside the box. Any suggestions you could give us?
Absolutely.
What we were talking about. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if no other discussion, all in favor of the motion, show sign of right hand. Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Now, I would like to make one comment now that we've passed it. This has been talked about, county for the last few weeks. I did go on the county website and look at I looked at all the departments. And it's amazing, since this subject has come up, how many of the departments have upgraded their latest information. Okay, next item, Mr. Wood.
The next item is a couple of budget amendments. Ms. Holt?
We have two budget amendments that were on the consent agenda. The first one is budget amendment number 461, is for our self-insured workers' comp, and we need to increase the workers' comp claims by $130,000 and use appropriated fund balance in that self-insurance fund.
Pleasure to board.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion on the floor. Any discussion on budget amendment 461? No discussion. All in favor, show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous.
Our next budget amendment is number 470. We decided to bring this before the board. It's over $5,000. And what we are doing is appropriating funds within the court facilities fund to put airlock doors in the atrium. And what we had the funds in the 261 line item, but we needed to put them in our building line item, is $21,725.
This is one we were going to do in next year, but we have the money in the court funds. We wanted to go ahead and do it.
And it is supported by restricted funds.
So with number 2 there at the EMS station, just a reuse form. Yeah, just a reuse of a
I
form.
didn't even see that. Okay.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? Mr. Doherty.
A question. What is an airlock?
Well, what we're doing is, it's just a fancy name. All we're going to do is add enclosures at either end of the lobby. And what it does is it gives you a second set of doors, and so it should decrease the loss of cooled air and heated air during the different seasons. Because right now, when those doors are open constantly, and if you're here for any length of time, I'd encourage you someday just to, particularly on a court day, is just sit out there for about 15 minutes. It's constant. And so what this does is it cuts down on that, because you have a series of 2 doors, and so that middle portion kind of reduces it down a little bit as far as the heat loss
So
and
are
the cooling air.
they going to extend out.
They have to go out, yeah.
And have a glass
Yeah,
enclosure.
it'll be a
like
glass enclosure
doors
type
there,
thing. That's
coming
right.
in, and then you go through another set of.
That's right. And so that's what it'll do. So an airlock is just a fancy name for that. That's, but
and
we
then-
feel like it'll help pay for itself over a period of time, just from the savings on the electricity. But if you'll notice in the winter, the security guys down there are actually wearing outside coats.
Oh, sure.
That's how bad it is.
And also, to a small degree, I think it will enhance our security just a little bit,
Yeah.
because it's going to give the security people and the deputy that's on call, it's going to give them a little heads up on what's coming in.
That's right.
Size of it.
I don't have the exact
Really don't know
dimensions,
yet.
but probably no more than 10 or 12 feet in depth. It's just enough to come in, the door closes, and then you go into the next one.
I would like to ask the question about security and adding that element to the front out there and the opportunity to put in metal detectors. And this is the question I want to ask, and I don't know whether a metal detector set up to identify different levels of metal, like, could you speak to that, officer, that you know, I mean, the difference between a pin and a .45 caliber?
What you have, Commissioner Camardi, is, and I hate that he left because Mel could have talked on this, because he's talked about improving metal detectors for a couple of years now. Depending on the grade of metal detector you buy, you can adjust it so that it does do certain things. We've had folks come in with certain things that have gone off. We've had folks come in with certain things that hadn't gone off. But it's based on the grade of metal detector you have and the sensitivity of it. And if you would like someone to talk to that, about that, Mel Powers is your man, because he has looked into upgrading our metal detectors before. I know this because we've had a conversation on it. But depending on the certain type that you get, you can have them adjusted to sensitivity.
I
And
thought
what they-
that, but I
what they
wasn't,
pick up.
I thought that was the case, but I wasn't knowledgeable enough to be assured. And Mr. Wood, do you think that could be?
Well, one of the things we're doing, as y'all know, we've had a request from Judge Jones to look at additional
That's what I
security. So the Facilities Committee will be going through that and making a recommendation back. And we will be using court funds for that. But we're looking at everything he's requested. And we'll make a recommendation back to you.
Okay? Have we got a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
We have a motion on the floor for Budget Amendment 470. Is any other discussion? If not, all in favor, show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
We did add on one item. The appointment committee did want to make an appointment this morning, Mr. Wood or Mr. Gurley.
Yes. The ABC Board is requesting an appointment to their board who will be replacing Mr. Shelton Moore, who will term out June 30, 2015. The ABC Board is recommending Ms. Pam Silver to be appointed. I'd like to make that a motion to appoint Ms. Pam Silver to ABC Board, and her appointment will begin July 1, 2015.
Put that in form of a motion.
Please.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor that we appoint Ms. Pam Silver as ABC Board member. Any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor, show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you, that's all.
County manager's comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'll be brief in the interest of time here, but obviously what we've been spending the bulk of our time on over the last several weeks is finishing up the budget. And also with the budget this year, as a separate document, you're going to get a 5-year capital improvements plan. And as the name suggests, what that will do is lay out a plan for you over a 5-year period dealing with facilities, vehicles, equipment, any kind of major purchase. And the reason for that is obvious. We have the operating budget every year, but the major items need to be planned out. It needs to be thought out how you're going to pay for them and that sort of thing. So you'll have a detailed list of that. laid out again by fiscal year. And the first year of that, which is fiscal year 16, has been lifted out of there, and that becomes the capital budget in the 2016 budget. So we'll be going over the CIP as well as the budget on the 28th. And like I said, we're finalizing it now. We're not quite there, but we're just about there. We're finished on the number part. We've got to do some writing on a few things, and then we'll be ready to get it printed up. So we'll have it to you on the 28th, which is about, 9 days from now. So we'll have it to you at that point. Once it's presented from the 28th until, of course, you have a public hearing on the 2nd, but you don't vote on it till the 16th. So what I'd like y'all to be thinking about is what days you would like to set up for some work sessions to go over it in detail. And you may want to take, just a suggestion, if that's a Wednesday, you may not want to start those work sessions till like the following Monday, because I think it'd be more beneficial to you to have about 5 or 6 days, including a weekend, where you can actually sit down and read through the documents and get familiar with it before you come to a work session. And I think that'd be more helpful to you. But if y'all will be thinking about what dates you want to do that, then we can go ahead and schedule those as special meetings of the board. So that's where we're at on the budget. As far as Wings Over Wayne, I just wanted to compliment the staff here, and I want to compliment Seymour Johnson. This was my first one, and I was just blown away with it. That's a fantastic event. It's terrific. And I particularly wanted to single out our staff. I had tasked Marcia Wilson with working with the city on the logistics of the invitations and setting up the chalet that we had, and working with the city and WCDA. I thought that worked extremely well, and Marcia, we appreciate your work on that. Sheriff Pierce, of course, was involved very heavily in the transportation and security. I believe we had up to about 40 officers who came in on those 2 days, in addition to the regular staff. I want to thank Tommy Burns and Mel Powers for heading up the operations on our end. Mel was tying in all of the radio dispatching and that sort of thing using the new system. And also, obviously, the EMS staff, as you heard today, a report from Jeremy Hill on that. And I also want to thank all of y'all for coming out on that. I thought the county was well represented there, and it was a great event. So Scott Stevens has suggested, and I told him I was in agreement with this, I thought we'd like to sit down after about a week or so and kind of do a post-mortem on it, see what we did right, see if there's areas we can improve on, because we only do this every 2 years. So we need to capture those thoughts while they're fresh, both what was excellent and what we might improve on. So we plan on doing that as well. And the last thing, just wanted to remind y'all, several of you are going tomorrow. We're going to take a field trip to Greenville and New Bern to look at their convention centers. One of the big issues, as y'all know, is the flooring, because we're looking at this as a multi-purpose facility that can have trade shows, but also sit-down dinners. And so we're meeting the architect over in Greenville at noon. We'll get a quick bite to eat, then she's got a tour set up of Greenville, and then after we see that, they've got a tour set up in Craven County at the New Bern on their facility. So again, that's tomorrow. I plan on leaving here at 11. So for those of you going, we'll just meet here at 11, and we'll, depending on how many we have, we'll either take the van or my car. And if we've got 4 going, we'll probably 4 or 5. We'll probably take the van, because I've invited Kevin Johnson to go as well. I thought it'd be good for him to see the operation, since he'll be running it. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Commissioners' comments. I'm gonna go first today. On May the 6th, we did have County Assembly Day in Raleigh. Most of the commissioners went to that. We met with our representatives, talked about a couple of issues. They were pushed for time that day, but we did, I felt like we probably got a little bit accomplished. On May the 7th, Employee Appreciation Day. I think we had great weather and a great turnout. Also, we attended the National Day of Prayer at Faith Church. We had a good turnout for that. On May the 11th, Mr. Wood and myself met with Southern Wayne Sanitary District on discussing some of the issues with the Genoa Sewer project. On May the 13th, had our monthly annual board meeting for the Alliance. And also that afternoon, Mr. Wood and Scott Stevens and myself sat down and discussed some issues at Busco Beach, and Mr. Wood will be bringing all of that information back to you at a later point. Also on the 14th, I attended the annual banquet for the FFA class at Rosewood School. Very proud of the young men and women that are in that organization. May the 15th, went out to the fairgrounds for Relay for Life. Had a good turnout. I don't think we had quite the crowd that we have had in the past, but it's very touching to see some of the people that have fighting hard for their life, and the ones that are survivors. Sometimes if if you've never been to one of these Relay for Life events, you really need to go. It'll bring you back down to earth. The Wings Over Wayne, Mr. Wood touched on most of it. I did want to praise the staff for what they've done. Marcia and Pat spent a lot of time out there and a lot of time before the event took place. Facilities was involved heavily. Like Mr. Wood said, the sheriff, and if we start calling names, we're going to leave somebody out. But I just want to thank the staff for everything that they did. Also want to thank Seymour Johnson for a great air show. But I think there's one group that has not been mentioned that really made it happen. The enlisted people at the base. That's the backbone in putting something on like this. I was impressed with security, the Air Force security, and the way they handled, because everyone that went in and out went through a screening. And in excess of 200,000 people in 2 days, that was quite an undertaking. Sheriff Department was at most of the gates, or maybe at all of them. I didn't go in but a couple. But I just want to commend the enlisted people that actually pulled this show off with no real threats, and it was just a great show. And naturally, the officers at the base are to be commended also. But I want to put emphasis on the enlisted people. And also tomorrow, some of y'all are going on the tour of the convention centers, but some of us is also going to the kind of the kickoff for Grantville Middle School and Spring Creek Middle School, and I wish we could all be there, but it's such a busy schedule. We had to schedule 2 things on the same day, but some of us will be at those 2 events to represent the county and with the school board. And that's all I have. Mr. Camardi.
Thank you. Look, I want to share this with the board with the manager. About 3 Saturdays ago, a gentleman called me. Well, he called me early in the week, asked me if I would come up to. He lives at Bosco Beach. He lives on Bryant Boulevard, and he was one of the gentlemen that came up here about the farmland down there. They got in on that, and he was not speaking against Bosco Beach. He asked me to come up and look, and his comment was that he wanted to be treated, I don't know whether he used the word equitably, but I maybe thought he probably meant equitably. And he was showing how profitable that the whole Bosco Beach environment was, and how a strain it was to pay the dollar figure that had been assessed to them and what they got out of what they were trying to do. And he reemphasized that he was not against the profitability of Bosco Beach, but I would like to say to you, I had only observed the Bosco Beach traffic from when I would come past them at Burger King and over on 117 between Burger King and back downtown Goldsboro. But you just really need, everyone needs to see the activity and the fun that takes place out at Bosco Beach. There were, conservatively speaking, 300 to 500 vehicles in that area on that Saturday afternoon that I was out there. And probably you multiply that by 3 to 5 people in each vehicle, that was a good crowd at Bosco Beach. And this gentleman, I expect that we'll see him again, but I would not want him to think that I had not brought that back to this board, that some folks see that as a discrepancy between what one group might experience out of that whole Bosco Beach area, FEMA land, and what anyone else may or may not be able to experience out of it. And so I just want to bring that back.
Can I address that real quick?
Yes, sir.
Part of that was the part of the discussion that we've had. One of the problems, as y'all know, is that the county owns part of the property and the city owns part of it, and it's more like a quilt type situation. I mean, you might have a county property and then next door is a city property. So,
and in between, there's private property.
And then that's right. So we've got a map that we're going to show you on that, but the issue you're bringing up is a good point. In order to lease, somebody has to have control of that, one entity. And so part of what we're going to discuss is who's going to pay what for the rental of that property. So you bring up a good point, but I just wanted to make you aware that we are taking that into consideration when we do this. Good.
Thank you.
Is that all your comments?
I'm sorry, I'm sort of caught up on that. Yes, there was one thing I meant to mention, and this is especially maybe for Joe Doherty's edification. No, I'm serious. At the East Carolina Council communication with the director, Joe, she said that, and I was specifically finding out some things might be relevant for Wayne County, because I looked through and I saw her a little, but she said there's a composed EDA grant proposal to develop plug-in electric vehicles readiness plan for US 70 corridors located in Wayne and the other counties to the east. And the first thing that I thought of was that you're interested in making sure that signs are out there. Also, a good lure might be that if you could, since I understood that you had property along 70, that you might get some of these, wait a minute, somebody might get some readiness plug-in opportunities. And from the distance of Raleigh and Greensboro to here, this might be an excellent plug-in site. They did mention that it might be I think she said Walgreens or someplace like that, but it'll be an excellent economic opportunity for somebody to help lure any of that traffic. Something's relevant to Wayne County. I also attended the Wings Over Wayne, and as I've already said, it was an excellent opportunity. But Mr. Wood, as you plan forward, the only thing that Wayne County, the only thing would have been an asset to us if we'd have had a golf cart out there, so we could have. It was a lot to see, but old legs couldn't see it all. I mean, I'm being honest with you. It was a lot to see. We didn't see it. It was excellent, though. And to John, I know you know this firsthand, but for a civilian like myself to be able to walk into the belly of one of those big C-130s or whatever, transport, C5, and see actually where those Jeeps and Humvees and all that stuff will be sliding out of the back in that a parachute. I mean, that was something to see, just to walk up in there and look and say, my goodness, this is what actually happened. And then they had a row of helicopters, and John, from the Big Huey on down to that gunship. And I thought to myself, one of these things can take you to safety, and the other one will send you away from safety. Because I can just imagine that little gunship. I mean, it's got to be. It would chase you back inside of a house. So it was very good though. And like to all the county employees that were out there helping out, I saw EMS trucks and all that, and of course Marshall was taking care of the tent and had some water there and everything for us when we got out there. So thank you very much.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Doty?
You have shifted this around, hadn't you?
Yeah, I'm playing hopscotch.
I think you covered most of it, but I do want to point out that at the MPO meeting last Wednesday, the draft feasibility study was released for extending I-795 to I-40. I was late in attending that, but Mr. Mayo was there, and I appreciated that he sat in for me. And in fact, it was rather timely because there were some issues that directly related to where he is out there on William Street. NC East, of course, had their regional meeting in Greenville. I attended that and enjoyed that. In regards to the budget work sessions, I think it might be something we might want to consider on June the 2nd, that afternoon, maybe having a work session, since we already having a commissioners meeting that day, and June the 3rd, the next day, would be great for me as well. And on this trip tomorrow, do you know if there was anyone from the city that was possibly invited to?
I invited them, and Scott Stevens is not able to make it. He said Chuck Allen may join us, but if he does, he'll take his own vehicle because he had something else to do. I also suggested that if he wanted to send one of his assistants, so Randy may be coming, but I'm not sure. But we did extend that invitation for them and their staff to come.
I think you extended it to the tourism people, didn't you?
I did, and Betsy Roseman said she's been in both centers very often, so she's very familiar with both. And I think I mentioned earlier to you too, I reached out to Kevin Johnson because I wanted him to see both of them as well.
And I do want to also state that we had the WCDA monthly meeting, and activity is picking up. Industrial recruitment and those individuals that are looking to relocate, that activity is definitely picking up. And I just want to make sure that people are aware, because I know it's a sensitive subject regarding incentives that are offered in regards to attract industry and jobs. And it's something that we've got to be cognizant of, and that is that we are in competition with 100 counties, 99 counties in North Carolina, but there are 50 states out there as well, and we are in competition with all of them. And that incentive package is large. Just to give you an example, and it gave me some heartburn, South Carolina, in regards to attracting the new Volvo plant, there was a $500 million investment on the part of Volvo, and some have indicated that the incentives were in the $250 to $300 million range. So that just shows you how competitive it is out there in order to get these industries. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Payton.
Well, you guys have about covered everything. I went to county assembly. I was there on that, and the faith meeting, the day of prayer. I was sick and was unable to go to Newbern for this kind of Workforce Development Board, but I did call in so I could participate in the meeting. So there is a possibility of being able to do that. I've had this mess now for this is my 3rd week, so I was really feeling bad that day. But I was able to call in and participate. No, it wasn't Skype. They've actually been calling by phone. So
That's what
we met with the architect was on the 8th.
I think that's right.
Yeah, we really are beginning to get to the meat of this thing, and these are conceptual circles, I guess, not really drawings, but we're beginning to look at the site itself and how we're going to put the building on it, and we can see how we're going to lay this thing out. And this trip tomorrow is important. You know, we all kind of have a vision in our mind of what we're trying to do, and I hope the partners from the city will go as well, because they're tied up with us, just, hand in hand on this
That's
issue.
right. And that's why we're trying to keep them in the loop.
Right, and they need to be.
Bill, if I could mention one thing I forgot in my report to tell y'all. One of the outcomes of these two meetings that we've just had is, we agreed, if you remember, as part of our agreement with the city, that we would investigate possibility of a regional retention pond. We've also reached out to include the college on that because the college owns all that acreage. I think it's about 29 acres behind there. The college also owns, after you get past their back road, the property on the other side, which is where we'd like to put the regional detention pond. We met with Kristen and her consulting engineers several weeks ago. Then they came back on the 8th.
It was the 8th.
After about 10 days and indicated that that will work, and that is the best system. That is the best option. So we'll pay a little bit more on the front end because we've got to take it all the way down to that road, but think of it this way, we're not eating up any of the valuable land for Wayne Community College in the future with a big retention pond, and we won't have an unsightly detention pond down there. It'll be further down, and it's just a matter of piping it all down there. And we've come up with the rudiments of how we would share that cost as well. So I think that's moving extremely well, as Bill said.
And we got to think ahead on things like that too, because the college will expand someday. Let's go and spend the money now because we're going to end up paying for it anyway. So let's save some dollars in the future by investing now.
That's right.
And who knows, may have a private enterprise on the corner there that may want to also tie into that, but we'll wait and see how that all works out. We had a really good DSS meeting yesterday, and we talked a great deal about the pay plan that we passed today. And really, Ray and I kind of wanted to get the reactions from the staff, and I felt like it was pretty positive. Or either they talked about us when we left, I don't know. We talked about it. Then, of course, we talked about Northwoods, which we took care of that today as well. They're pretty excited about this because they can see it really changing their work day, and they'll be able to get a lot more accomplished. And I learned something about foster care and things. I learned something every time I go in there. I told them yesterday, as a sister agency in my old job, I thought I knew a lot about them, and I did. But, like foster care, the foster parents can't even allow kids to go after-school activities. They're not allowed to do that. The Ivy has to do that. And there's no monies for those kids that want to be on athletic teams. Of course, there's a Senate bill in there that's, going to allow the foster parents to allow those kind of personal activities, but there's no money to support that. Just thought I'd bring that to let you know about that. But let's see some money put in there for that if we're going to allow them to do that. But anyway, it was a really good meeting. And of course, the Wings Over Wing Saturday was just fabulous. I mean, I had a great time. I had to drag my wife out there, but she finally admitted it was a lot of fun. And, just to see what this country has and the capabilities is just amazing. And we got to be proud of our young men and women who are out there doing that. And thanks for the staff for working so hard to give us such a great place to sit. I mean, our view was fantastic.
Thanks.
Mr. Mayor.
Everybody's covered it. I'm usually one of the first one.
All right, Mr. Bell.
No. Yeah, we all attended the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Assembly Day in Raleigh. Also, on the day of prayer that was held at Faith Church, I'm uplifted as a citizen and an elected official to know that people of faith are praying for all of our emergency responders, the police and sheriff's departments, military, and elected officials across not only this county, but this state and nation. I believe, like many others believe, that the answer to our county, state, and country problems are not to keep throwing money at situations, but to change the way our family unit has been attacked over the last 30 to 40 years, because that is the basis of our society. Also, on May 7th, I attended the Works Advisory Board meeting at WCC. We talked about the initiatives, and of course the Advanced Manufacturing Center is always on top of the agenda. I also attended the tour of the Advanced Manufacturing Center put on by the WCDA, which we saw the layout of the equipment and discussing some timelines, even though it's pretty early to start saying too much about it. And of course, as Commissioner Daugherty mentioned, we attended the MPO TAC meeting, and there's some interesting things going on as far as up on the northern end of William Street, but I won't go into that at this point. I'm also on the Board of Health. We had a meeting, and one of the things we did is we approved Wayne County Health Department policy and procedures, like the appeals procedure that for Board of Health policies, and also concerning patient fees, eligibility, and bad debt write-off. One of the things that we discussed is, again, the merit system that we're looking at going to for our county. And after that meeting, a lady came up to me, that's an employee, and said that she understood the way I explained it, and that she was in favor of the merit system, that she thought it was time for a change. So I believe that the employers overall are going to like it when it gets into place. We also had an NC East Alliance board meeting in Greenville. We elected 2 new board members. That was on May the 14th. Terry Frank is replacing Greg Lewis as recommended by Carteret County. And we also added to our board Millie Chalk, who's the East Carolina Director for Duke Energy, which Millie's going to be a huge asset to our board of the NC East Alliance. Also, she's a resident of Onslow County, so she lives in that area. She's well familiar with that area. I'm sorry?
Well, she's from Carter County.
No, she's a resident of Onslow County.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what the information I have said. Okay, I hadn't been on. Okay. But the NC East Alliance State of the Region was really good, and I'm going to take the time to mention, because Wayne County was really a big part of the goings on at our State of the Region. Most of you know Paul Casey at North Wayne. He's won all types of awards, and he's actually, we got a handout from the STEM program that highlights him. But we had a whole group of students there from North Wayne that were the top TSA performers. That's the Technology Student Association, and they've been given awards. They won the top honors with a toothbrush that's called a plaque attacker, and they're actually looking at possibly, along with Steve Hill, who's the executive director of STEM East, they're looking at getting possibly a patent on this. So it's really encouraging to see students really stepping up to the plate, because look, most of the time all you hear is the bad things, isn't it? But there's a lot of good students out there, and Wayne County is full of them, by the way. Good students that are wanting to do the right thing. And of course, the Wings Over Wayne, what can I say? The technology and capabilities of our U.S. Air Force is phenomenal. One of the things that I thought about when I was going inside of any of the air cargo planes, and I don't know if this company built these or not, but the 135s, the cargo plane, when you walk up those ramps to where they load the vehicles, those ramps is what AAR produces here in Wayne County. Now, those may not be the ones that they produce. They don't have 100% of the market. But any cargo plane in the military, more than likely, there's something on there from AAR as far as loading this equipment. And there's quite a few parts that go into an aircraft and also the Humvee that you would be surprised what's made here in Wayne County. So we are a part of what goes on as far as our base is concerned. Bill's already mentioned about the DSS board meeting. One of the things that I want to bring up to the public is that, you know, the Medicaid recertifications has been a problem with DSS from the start. And I want to report today that we are making good progress. You know, one of the problems we have with turnovers in this is because these people have been working Saturdays, Sundays, all kinds of hours trying to catch up on the Medicaid recertifications. Well, in February of this year, we had 11,489 recertifications pending. As of May 1st, we have 4,064 recertifications pending. Now, having said that, we still are having to meet a June 30th deadline to have all these recertifications done, which is mandated by the state. So that's good progress. The other thing is that May the 8th through June 22nd is designated as Vulnerable Adult and Elder Abuse Awareness Month in North Carolina. Last year, some of these statistics just are mind-boggling. Last year, more than 23,000 vulnerable and older adults were reported to be abused, neglected, or exploited in North Carolina alone. 23,000. Nationwide, those numbers exceed 2 million. But we, as citizens of North Carolina General Statute 108A-102 mandates that anyone, that includes all of us, that anyone with suspicion that a vulnerable or older adult is in need of protection is mandated by this statute to report it to their local social services agency. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, I would be remiss if I did not bring up, since I've been a commissioner, every year I have gone to the Fremont Library pie throwing contest. And I've been every year except this year. I was in Greenville at the NC East Alliance and the state of the region. But the Fremont Public Library, Sherry Stewart, who is director at Fremont Methodist Preschool, she challenged the 26 students at the preschool to read at least 100 books from the Fremont Public Library this school year. For every 100 books read, the student would be able to throw a pie in Sherry's face. Student Willow Mays was listening closely and planned to take advantage of the opportunity. She read 727 books, meaning a grand total of 7 pies to be thrown in Miss Stewart's face. Mays read more books than any other student in the school. Sheriff Stewart said, "I issued this challenge to our students to help them develop a love for reading, because if you can read, you can succeed. We also want to save our local public library and keep it here in Fremont. It is wonderful that we have this resource just 1 block away from our preschool." Now, some of the other children, some of them, let me throw some of these out: 420 books, 409, 401, 308, 306, 222, 219. The 17 other students read a total of 1,971 books. In closing, Mr. Chairman, since 2013, the students at Fremont Methodist Preschool have checked out and read 14,029 books, which is phenomenal. If you want to see this write-up, go to Goldsboro Daily News. There's about 30 pictures on there, And last year, I ended up with one of these pies in my face because Sheriff Stewart hugged me after she got all these pies thrown at her. But it was a fun thing, and it's good for the children. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Bailey.
Mr. Chairman, I attended the Board of Election meeting. I suggest that each of you go over sometime at their meeting and just see how professional those people does their job. They're doing a real good job. They all work together real good, and have a new director now, Mr. Beavers, and I think he's going to be okay. The Latino Hispanic Councils submitted a survey in Wayne County. Tell you a little bit what that survey is about. For the citizen Hispanic people of Wayne County, we're trying to put a survey out to find out what's available, how they need to access different entities in Wayne County. So that's what it's all about. It's not to give anybody any privileges. It's just that they want them to know where everything is located. Eastport meeting is next week. I haven't attended that meeting yet. But there's one thing I want to mention about the Wings Over Wayne. For some reason, and this is not a complaint, it's just a thought. Everybody seems to forget Wayne County as a government. And they sort of think that the mayor represents Wayne County when they put his picture in the paper. So, but when everybody needs something, they don't forget Wayne County. They come and ask us to participate. So, and I'm part of the Air Force family. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about it. But I would like to see us represented in these papers and things or reports whenever they mention who participated, not just the city of Goldsboro. Mr. County Manager.
I heard you.
Mayor did too.
Between John and the mayor. Your comment?
Yes.
Mr. Gurley. Thank you, Mr. Bill.
And thank you to Faith Free Will Baptist Church for hosting the National Day of Prayer. It was very well attended, very inspirational, and just got to give hats off to the members there for hosting it. Our Wayne Moore Hospital Exploratory Committee is meeting weekly and reviewing and evaluating our next steps for the upcoming retirement of Mr. Paul. And this is a very detailed process, and it's taking a lot of time, but we want to make sure we do it accurately and bring out the best for the future of Wayne County. And last, Mr. Chairman, a big thanks to our Boy Scouts in attendance today. Thank you for leading our Pledge of Allegiance, and come back anytime. And please invite the other members to come, and especially since summer's coming up, you'll be out of school, but please invite them to come and be in attendance with us. Thank you.
Mr. Bill had one more thing.
Mr. Casey mentioned my name this morning when he was talking about Chuck Allen. I just want Chuck and everybody to know that Lonnie and I had not collaborated on anything before we made that statement.
Anyone else have anything?
I think our library director sent Mr. Kamari a message about a program tomorrow. She wanted to talk about.
I didn't know that.
We filed it away.
Each one of you gentlemen received a packet of information, and it is, let me read this. Thank you. Please join us honoring Goldsboro's George Altman on Wednesday, May 20th at 7 p.m. at the Wayne County Public Library. Part of our baseball heritage program, after graduating from Dillon High School, class of 1951, he played professional baseball for the Kansas City Monarchs in the former Negro League. 9 years in Major League Baseball, followed by 8 in Japan. George's story is about a local kid who grew up in segregation but found a way through mentorship, dedication, and perseverance to play baseball at the highest level. They provided picture of him, but it's, you can see a much better picture of him at the library, and I'm sure it's tomorrow night. And given this opportunity to say something about baseball. Baseball was an integral part of every neighborhood growing up in pre-1980 America. Baseball was an integral part of every neighborhood, and I learned a lot about cooperating with people through playing baseball. I think I even have a uniforms hanging up someplace in my closet where I played with a group called the Fayetteville Cougars, sometimes in the early 1970s, prior to getting married, but I had to turn my uniform in because I didn't have time to play anymore after I got married. But those are some of the most enjoyable times that I spent as a young man.
Can you wear it now?
Oh, I can look at the uniform. I didn't say I could get it off. But this is excellent.
Mr. Marty, I thought you were going to tell us that since you were from Fayetteville, that you went, you were at the ball game when Babe Ruth hit his first home run.
I have read that sign on Gillespie Street many a time, believe me, but that predates me just a little bit.
Anyone else got anything? Do we need to go back to closed session?
Let's say one thing.
I think we covered it.
Mr. Pate.
You probably all of you got it in the mail, but there's going to be a Memorial Day event at Wayne Community College on Monday. You should have gotten that. I don't have it with me. I can't remember exactly what time it is.
11 o'clock.
11, thank you.
If any of y'all are in town, I would appreciate someone going to that.
I'll be there.
But if I take another weekend away from my wife, y'all gonna be going to a funeral. So I'm probably not gonna be there, but if some of you could, I'd appreciate it.
The lady from the state just told us who Bill was, Mr. Partey.
Yeah, Mr. Partey. I've been called a lot worse, I can assure you.
Move adjournment.
I have a motion on the floor, we adjourn.